put them together and they've got the gift of crab.
Oh, I thought Haley was going to keep going with the intro music, but that's fine. Hey, Grabber Gang, we're back finally, and yeah, apologies for the long lapse in our talking to you, or talking to each other, talking to the grip community. But tonight we have a well-known face and name in the grip community. We have Mr. Zach Blob Zombie Mullins here. He hosts the Grip Show, which more of you know that probably than this. So
we're going to drag people with this anyway.
Yeah. We'll get some good cross pollination going, and they'll be like, "Why is this here?" Yeah. So we're excited to have Zach on here. This is going to be probably similar in format, I guess, to like our hot takes episode we did a few episodes ago, where it's more serious stuff. But it's like these are things that seem like they're happening in a lot of conversations around the grip community, on the outside, in private messages, all this kind of stuff. But it's there. A lot of them are legitimate points that we want to discuss in order to try to make make grip sport and the grip community as productive and legitimate as possible. We want to continue to grow the sport. We want to continue to add to that. So Zach is obviously very knowledgeable about the community in general. He talks to a lot of people. He has been around a lot of people. He's been around a lot of competitions. So he's definitely got the history that I know that I don't. I pay attention and I like to gossip. So I've got that side of things, but the actual facts are going to come from Zach.
Yeah.
So.
Neither of us have the experience Zach does, and that's why we're honored to have him here. We got a lot of feedback from you guys, a lot of great questions. I'm just going to preface this episode right now by saying that our intention isn't to bash anyone in particular. Our intention is to just have these conversations, to share opinions, and to let our listeners know that if you share these thoughts, if you've talked about them amongst yourselves, that this is ultimately a safe space and you're not alone. And we all have these disagreements or agreements on a lot of subjects and a lot of people and the way things are ran. So we hope to talk to an expert and get his hot takes. So
yeah,
there we go.
So
welcome, Zach.
Thanks for being here, Zach. The first question, I think this is one that everybody wants to know, is like, should we as a grip community take at face value the information being fed to us from the government about the death of Charlie Kirk?
Is that your question?
Just kidding. I just really wanted to ask it, but it's fine. Anyway, we can get into the real stuff now. So yeah.
Did you lose coaching clients because of that?
What's that?
Didn't you lose a bunch of coaching clients or something because you were talking about conspiracies?
I did, yes. I lost, and several spots have opened up. DM me again if you need
Only
need
3
coaching.
spots, though.
Only 3 spots
Only
available.
3 spots remain for this month.
I think Dingy's on the hook, man. I think I'm about to reel that guy in. He could use my expertise.
I think he can actually break that plateau and kind of be a serious contender if he would just listen to what you have to say.
If he would just listen to me. Saxon in particular is one that I feel like I've nailed. And he seems to be struggling just a little to get those big numbers. So
yeah, he was fumbling around like an amateur at nationals. He dropped like 315 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man,
That's
kind of embarrassed to even be there.
That's a rookie mistake. So yeah. So I guess where do you want to start, Zach? What's a good jumping in point for addressing some of the stuff that we were wanting to talk about?
Man, you know what? I think some of this will kind of cross over and kind of tie together. I have some notes here I might kind of reference because there's a lot of stuff I wrote out.
Sure.
For me, I would kind of like to get into the different styles of competitions, probably like expo versus non-expo. And there's really only like 2 expos if we're being honest. Maybe sort of like what that really means, or how the community maybe views that, and then sort of get into some of these other points with, I don't know, like what's really going on versus what's sort of pitched, or how things are portrayed on the surface versus what's it really mean when you kind of dig through the layers of it. I know that's a little vague there, but like I said, we'll get more specific.
Yeah, it's a good overview. Yeah, so in terms of competitions and expos and stuff, you're talking about the kind of legitimacy and like caliber of athlete, what the accolades are that are tied to it, or what?
Yeah, I think a portion of it. I think within really the last 2 or 3 years, probably specifically last 2 years, there has been sort of I got to think how to put this. There's just been a lowering of standards, and I believe that lowering of standards is strictly for money reasons. I don't know. I don't really care what the reason is. I'm just observing that, there's sort of a thing that on these bigger expos, there was like, invite only, or it wasn't like an open competition where anyone could just sign up.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 years, it just seems that any level of participation is more important than, kind of representing your best athletes and looking out for them. Then you have people that are just, they've done 2 competitions, or they don't even know what the sport is. They don't even know what the rules are, but they can sign up and go hang out with everybody. And I don't, that's not me like knocking newer lifters or people that don't know. They're just excited to go and lift and do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
But you just run into certain things like, and I know people are going to say, oh, well, it'll be different this year, or that was just one time. But when we have 70 kg lifters up there with 110 kg lifters, and now half of the 70 kilo people just open enrollment sign up, we got to sit for 40 minutes while they screw around with 150 on a Saxon bar. It's just insane. And, stuff like that just sort of, I think, loses credibility. It kind of muddies the water. I mean, who in the crowd even knows who's good when there's 50 people on stage and every lift on the microphone is, oh, it's good. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah. It's like, you don't know the difference between Devin Lee Brown, Eric Rusain, and Marcus Bannock unless you sit there for 2 hours to find out what they lift, because you're going to see, 800 good lifts that all are tough and all good. So that's all. That's a starting point.
So can I jump in there and ask you a question? With that, like in my head, I always thought like, wow, this does take a long time. And when we're given like the prime time spot on the Arnold stage, for example, and we do have a ton of lifters all doing the same lifts, and there is no starting number. He just allows anyone to jump in wherever they want to start. And so it takes so long because it's 5 kilo jumps. Do you think there should be a baseline for these bigger expos?
I think there should be. There was for the 2022 Arnold. At the 2022 Arnold, there was a sheet printed out, and there was a starting point where, hey, you do your warm-ups, but this is where we start. And I do know a few lifters that year. That was my first Arnold, and a few lifters did miss the opener. And,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. You just, I mean, it's like a strongman competition or any other sport. If they're going to do
exactly
something tier to it, you have to either, train up to it and be at that point, or, you're going to fall a little bit short. And it's okay if you do, but it maintains a standard that I think just keeps quality going, and it kind of makes those bigger competitions just a little more solid. It just kind of, because there's so many people that can host their own competitions and compete as many times as they want throughout the year. Mm-hmm. They can do anything. So I think that those bigger expos, if they want to kind of remain prestigious, there has to be that bar has to kind of stay up there. And the lower that drops, the more it just becomes another competition. It's just at a cool place.
Yeah, well, I understand.
Something that, I'm just trying to compare this to sports where they have similar setups and stuff, and they're able to work through those, and it's pretty efficient. And looking at powerlifting, I think the thing that makes that work compared to the rising bar format where you have unlimited attempts is that you have to choose where you're going to start, and you get 3 attempts. And you have to choose those. And part of that is, that adds strategy to it, and it adds some complexity and some mind games if you want to play those and stuff. And I think that makes it more interesting for the athletes. And I don't know, it takes a little bit more coordination, because then they end up at the big meets, right? They have everybody lined up by, all right, what's your next attempt? And then they load the bar in that way, and everyone knows what's coming. And then you've got it all. Everyone's all lined up, ready to go. And so the backstage becomes a little bit more important. And so I don't know if because and just to be clear, I guess for those if you're new to the sport or new to any of this stuff, this is predominantly with Armlifting USA events. Armlifting USA hosts the big expo events. They host Worlds at Olympia, and then they host the Arnold Armlifting Championships at the Arnold. And so that would take to do something like they do for USAPL or any of those guys. It just takes a lot more, I think, manpower and effort than maybe ALUSA has bandwidth for.
Capability, yeah.
But that's so to go back to your point originally. Do you think there's a balance between trying to fill out the roster so that there are athletes to observe and, like you said, lowering of standards or opening up of qualifications? Do you think there's a balance there and what do you think that balance would look like?
I mean, I think,
or does there need to be one?
Yeah, there's definitely a balancing act. But what I would say with that is I always hear, and it's on everybody's show, your show, my show, whoever, we're always going to hear this growth of the sports stuff.
Sure.
But when it really comes down to it, in my head, it's like, let's just say we maintained a certain standard and that took out half the pack. Is the sport really growing at the rate everybody thinks, or are we just allowing more people to sign up? Like, more numbers doesn't always mean that, the quality of the lifter goes up either, So I think that that's something that maybe there's a balancing act. You don't want to make it like unachievable for people to where you have like 5 people up on stage and they're all in different weight classes. That's an extreme example. But you also don't want to have 10 people in every single weight class and like 1 or 2 are pretty good. And then the rest are kind of like wandering around and don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think the thing is if you had a standard maintained and your organization can't fill those slots, then that would be an indication that the sport's not growing. So you need to do something else.
Yeah.
And you need to step up on your end. That's what I would say for that, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And if they show up in divisions, then you're good. You're doing something right. But at least we'll know.
Yeah.
I would agree. And I think it's important to note that this, the success of strongman at these expos has been where the top 10 are invited, men and women. And it doesn't matter how big they are, how strong they are, all different shapes and sizes. Like, obviously they're all big and strong, but they all have the same opportunity and they all excel at different events. And maybe it should be something like that where there are qualifiers to get to the big show and not just paying $120 registration fee and, saying, I'm going to try arm lifting at the Arnold. And I'm saying that as somebody who signed up for my first arm lifting contest at the Arnold Expo. That was my very first arm lifting contest, like a real deal sanction event. And I did that. I was already there for Highland Games and I said, why not? I'm going to be there anyway. And I ended up falling in love with it. But on that token, because I did well in the open category, I was told I will be invited back next year if I won as a pro. And that was another question we have for you tonight, Zach. So we can tackle that a little bit later. But that was incentive for me to, okay, now I got to practice. Now I got to work hard. Now I got to actually, give this an honest try because the girls at the top, I'm nowhere near. So that was incentive for me to then say, I earned my spot. Now I got to work hard to keep it. And then when I went back the next year, there were a lot of women, which is great because, you want the sport to grow, but it was also like, I earned my spot. How did you get yours?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and then that kind of ties into a little bit also is how much of it's being done how much of it is being done for marketing purposes, like showing a full stage and also getting the, $120 annual plus $100 meet registration fees. Hang on, how much of it is being done for that versus how much is being done to actually showcase the top lifters in the sport? For like powerlifting, they have for nationals, you have to hit a certain total to qualify. So I think that's the kind of the standard you're talking about, Zach, right? Is like, you know, these are the lifts. You either like GSI has elite totals. Like, okay, if you're an elite, you get an elite total, you get, you know, you can go to nationals or whatever it is. And
yeah, well, there's other ways to like video submissions of certain lifts, and there's, you know what I mean. There's a qualification process. Not everybody has to lift an elite thing on only 3 things.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is some type of thing that, like, if somebody was sitting in their garage like I am right now, and they said, "Man, I want to do GSI nationals, but I don't have any competitions near me." Okay, well, you could still get the handles or whatever it is, or go to somebody that does have them, and if you lift a certain amount through video submission and that's verified, you could still qualify, but at least there's some type of filtering process.
Yeah.
At the base level, there's still a thing where if you show up there, we at least know that you are this strong or you should be in that room. And that's not always the case with, you know, some of the other stuff. So
yeah. I should not have been on the on the pro stage last year at the Arnold. I had zero business being up there. And I think there have been other cases of people who were like, I asked to be up there just because, I mean, honestly, it was a scheduling thing. I wanted to be able to be on the same schedule as my friends so that I didn't have to be cutting weight while he wasn't.
That 13-hour day.
Yep. I was like, oh, God, if I don't get at least one time at this expo where I get to be just on
there
from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m., like, I'm going to lose my mind anyway. But there are other people who have been like encouraged to compete in these big competitions, and it's like, why did you encourage them to do that, and why did you allow them to do that? Because you set them up for, you know, the other people who are at the top of those classes like way outperformed them. And it's like, if that's me, and it was me last year, I was like, God, these people are way stronger than I am, and this is embarrassing for myself. And so I imagine that's how other people would feel. So you're not doing any services to the athletes to encourage participation in a high level competition if that person's not up to the standards. And having those standards is the important part of that, is knowing what you're trying to push towards.
Yeah, real quick, can I something where Haley was kind of talking about like the criteria or like a qualification process where she's like, you know, I earned my spot. How did you get here? Right. I think the Super Series used to be that.
Yeah.
That was really the whole purpose of that setup, was like, hey, let's have this multi-venue thing. There's going to be some cash prizes, you know, certain weight classes, you know, 1 through 8, whatever, you know, 1 through 6, however it's mapped out. But there was some kind of filtering process that would get you into, you know, invited to the bigger stage, and that would have to be earned, you know, in some capacity. And that when that gets done away with, I would just also like to point out, I don't know if people pay attention to this stuff. I mean, I cover the sport a lot, so I'm seeing a lot of different things. But the Super Series this year was the weakest turnout it's ever been. There was a lot of veteran lifters, veteran venues that did not host any stages at all. And I'm not running an organization myself, so I'm not sitting here saying, well, this is what I would do right now in this moment. There's some stuff I'm going to get into later that I'll break down exactly what I think I would do. But for the Super Series, it's, you know, it's fine if you're going around to recruit new people. But if you have people that have been in the sport with your organization for 6 to 8 years and they don't want to cover your events anymore, they don't want to do it, they're not sanctioning anything, they're basically like, hey, we're not messing with that 2 months on the calendar.
Yeah.
That would be alarming to me as somebody that is trying to look out for the lifter, so to speak, right? I would be like, hey, how come you guys aren't doing this, you know? And that would be concerning. But I don't know that that's the case. So I just see a massive drop in the depth of the divisions, the overall turnout, just everything with the Super Series. It's kind of like, well, if other people have already made it to a level where they can just sign up for any of the expos anyway, why are they going to waste 2 to 3 months training for the Super Series when it's like the same events every single year too?
Yeah.
So I think the Super Series is, unless major changes happen, I don't think the Super Series is going to be around, and I don't think it really serves any purpose at all. So I think it just eats up 2 to 3 months of people's calendars, and there's no incentive to host it. There's no incentive for people to go unless they're brand new and they're just walking into it trying to, figure things out in their region. It's easier to get to the multi-venue stuff. So, but yeah, that's just an observation there for Super Series. It used to be that thing that could get you there.
That was your way into at least the Olympia World Championships. That that was how it was sold to me when my first Super Series was, if you placed 1 through 3, you get an invite to the World Championships, and that was the case. And then all of a sudden it was, like you said with the coaching, like, oh, there's 10 more spots available, or there's now you have until the end of September to get a T-shirt, and there's still spots available. So, filling bodies might get more eyes on the sport, might draw more interest from a business standpoint. And I understand, that's Ricardo's thought process. But ultimately, like you said, like the purity, the cachet, the honor of getting there kind of loses its luster if it's open to everybody who can pay the money and fly to Vegas.
Yeah, no, for sure. Unless there's other topics we can get into, or whatever. I got a bunch of stuff I can dive into. But that's just a couple easy observations out the gate to kind of, talk about some of those competitions and just sort of, I don't know, the direction some stuff is going, I think.
Yeah, we could probably have 2 episodes with you, honestly.
That's probably true.
Yeah, and I don't want to get that wild, but yeah. No, we'll get some good stuff covered, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess to the point, I guess a little segue from competitions, if we want to take it this way. If you have another plan, let me know. But like looking at records set at competitions and the delineation between all the different, I don't know, I feel like it's hard to keep track of when a record counts versus when it's not a record versus when it's like a very detailed record, I guess. And so, yeah, I know that's something that you and I have talked about some is kind of just records in general. And specifically, I guess we can start with like ones that are at competitions, but
did you want me to address like sort of, I don't know what I think constitutes like validly like claiming that you have a record kind of thing, or like, I think the more filters you have to put on it, the more it doesn't need to be mentioned. And I'll use this example from fighting, right? Or grappling in this sense. For jiu-jitsu, you have like, white, blue, purple, brown, black belt. You'll have people that are blue belts, which is just above white. So you got a blue belt, and maybe they're 41 years old, okay? And they'll go out to a world championship, but they'll be in the blue belt category by this certain age group, like 41 to 45. And I'm just making up the years, but it's like a very small sector. And then also by weight class. And then they'll go and like grapple the other 2 people that showed up that day, get a medal, and be like, I'm a world champion. I'm like, dude, you're a world champion blue belt at this age group at this weight. You're not like the world champion. You're not the best blue belt in the world. Like, there's random dudes that have no fight training at all that are probably dump you on your head. So it's kind of like that with this stuff as well. So if you have to start saying things like, and this is where I'm also going to get into kind of critiquing the way people portray records. Most people don't do this. That's why it kind of bugs me, is nobody wants to specify it's in an organization. So I'm going to use another fighting example. Sorry if anybody's not tracking this, but like before UFC bought out Pride FC, right? We had UFC and Pride. Mm-hmm. Both of them have champions in their own respective organizations. And unless they fight, you don't really know who's better, or the belts aren't really unified. So you could say you're world champion at this weight, but there's also another world champion. It's just different organizations. So you can't definitively just say like, I'm the MMA world champion. You're the Pride FC champion. You're the UFC champion or whatever. And that kind of goes to some of these records where, someone will set a record in an organization, and then they'll claim that they have a world record. No, you don't have a world record. You have a record in that organization in a weight class.
Yeah.
And like I said, the more filters we add, the more it doesn't mean nothing. So
Yeah.
I'll give a quick example. I covered the Immortal Grip Wars competition. And I had David Vigran on. Hopefully I got that name right, David Vigran. I don't do the accent. I can't pull it off. But he was talking about Ricardo setting a Saxon world record and like lifted like 212 or something. And I'm not knocking that. I'm not even going to get into all that right now. But he's telling me, he's got this world record. And all I can think about is like, okay, that's a Arm Lifting USA Masters record at a certain weight class. So we got three things. You're a master, you're in one organization, and it's a weight class. Like Steve Millard lifted 50 pounds more than you in GSI. Yeah. So, and just for clarification, that's on the same bar.
Yeah.
That's Arm Assassin Strength Shop 2x5. I'm not mixing up bars. It's not your homemade stuff. It's the exact same company, same weld, everything. Same dude doing it, Luke Raymond. So it's very odd to me that someone will lift 234 pounds recently on a 2x5 Saxon and, grandstand online, world record. You have an Arm Lifting USA world record. And I just wish that people would clarify that a little bit more because I think it's disrespectful to people like Steve Millard that are 50 pounds stronger than you.
Yeah.
But who do we see online? We don't see Steve, beating on his chest about it because Steve knows what he can do. He ain't got to do all that stuff. So just little things like that. And I could give you 100 examples from all the stats and stuff, but that's just, especially when it's the same brand, same bar and everything. It's like, come on. Yeah. But people that don't know any better, they'll look at that and say, oh my God, that's a world record. That's a world record. He's crazy. He's doing it. It's like, no, like that's like not even a top 100 lift in the world on that bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just put it in perspective, that's, I'll give people credit when they earn it, but
Yeah. And records, if you've truly set like a record on something, we can get into fake records later, but if you've truly set a record somewhere in something, that is something to be proud of, and it's an accomplishment. But I agree, you need to, at the very least, even if you want to stay weight class specific, even if you want to do something like that, you need to look across federations. If it's the same implement, you've got to be able to see where you stack up against people who are still your weight class, who are still lifting the same implement, just in GSI. Like, even if you like, I feel like because arm lifting is the face in the expos, and because arm lifting is more prominent with a lot of the public facing stuff, a lot of the GSI stuff for newbies gets lost in the shuffle, right? Like, you're like, I don't really understand what GSI, I don't know what King Kong is, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And then you go online and you say, oh, they've got a whole database, it's all tracked. I can look up top lifts and, oh shit, I'm like, 10th in my actual weight class for this implement if I look at what I just pulled that was a record here. It just becomes a little bit, it doesn't necessarily need to be humbling, but it's just kind of a perspective shift, right? It's like, yeah, okay, I'm doing really well at this, but there's still like tons of work I could be doing, and there's still stuff I need to learn, and it does kind of just give you a little bit more context into the sport that you've gotten into. I think.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm using that example because Steve Millard he was also a masters lifter, and he's actually lighter body weight. So that's why I picked that one as a specific thing. I didn't pick like some juggernaut, like 23-year-old beating up on the masters. I picked a masters lifter. That's within that exact category. Should he decide to show up and everything. So I'm never gonna like skew something like that. Like I'm pretty much addressing people that are inflating certain things or kind of skewing the perspective on it. So I'm not going to do that in return. Like, oh, well, if I flip it back this way, I'm going to do it like by the book. It's a master's lifter who's lighter body weight on the same exact bar. And that's why I bring that up. So, yeah. And that's a pretty simple one, but you see it a lot.
Yeah. I think from a betterment of the sport perspective, if you really are into grip and you're into grip sport and you want to get really good at it, you have to know, you have to learn all the pieces, and you have to be familiar with, with every aspect of it, and not just your specific aspect, or just, being content with what you've seen and where you're at. there's always more somewhere.
Yeah, there's always somebody waiting and better, and they haven't even discovered this sport yet. And there's people that are, they're going to be better than you on that day. And I think the distinction, like you said, Zach, of just this is an arm lifting USA record, okay, and this is a GSI record, or this is, there's no universal sanctioning body, so we have to differentiate. And if somebody were to ask, like, oh, Haley, you're a world champ, oh well, of arm lifting, like I've never actually gone to grip sport nationals, so like I can't ever say that, and I don't know how I would do. And there is always a clarification, and it's something that I'm proud of. But I'm never going to say I'm one of the best. I'm top 5. Like, that's just not in my, I know that's not true. But like, I am proud of, how I competed on that day and earning that title or whatever it was in the past. And I didn't compete this year because I wasn't ready physically, and I just straight up didn't want to. And I don't know how I would have done. And I think the whole getting excited about setting a world record or getting a title, a lot of people, they rest on that. They rest on the titles. They rest on the hardware, and that's ultimately enough. And like I said, I don't want to bash anybody, but I think it's just this excitement around saying it. Yeah. More than, I know, like he knows that he's not the best at that lift. But on that day, he got it. And that's, it's like.
Yeah. And like you're saying, like, you wouldn't claim that you're one of the best, but you're in the North American rankings, so the rankings will just talk for you. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another good point, is like, you don't have to tell us how good you are, because we can look at your lifts and we can see where you rank with everybody. And, if Eric puts out the North American rankings, you're going to be right up there in that top 3, top 5, or top 1 or 2 for weight class. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that if other people would just sort of let others talk about them, the sport would be a lot better and a lot more accurate for newer lifters coming in. They wouldn't be like as misleading. But yeah, it's like when somebody's setting a specific record, if they have to tell us all the time, or they have, then usually it's not quite what it's cracked up to be, Yeah. When somebody does something pretty extraordinary, usually somebody else will kind of comment on it. Yeah. That's like one little topic there. I don't know. Like I said, well, whatever you guys got for me, we can keep rolling. And
okay.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to go into the, like, now we've covered legitimate
questions,
records, or I was thinking illegitimate. Do you have any thoughts on illegitimate records? Because again, some of the questions I think are on that too, so we can do that. But like, people claiming
unofficial. There we got a question. It was just straight up thoughts about Ben Galper claiming unofficial world records, and it could be just about anybody. It could be on a brand new implement that Nemesis put out, and a small group of people are competing on it. And that's great, but it's not quite. So tell us about that.
Was that name was actually mentioned in that question?
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to tell everybody else listening, there's no such thing as an unofficial world record. It doesn't exist. So if you type that, I think you're a fool. Like, that's just my opinion on that. Like, unofficial world record. Like, I'm an unofficial dad. I'm an unofficial. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just weird. It's weird to me. Like, if you just want to say, hey, I was in my garage today and I looked at this list and I lifted more than that guy, that's cool. But to put that world record, it's like, that's just attention-seeking behavior that I don't sign off on. And that's what Ben Galper does. Like, I could dive in on his whole debacle. Like, it's just so weird. Some of these people will do anything for attention. They don't care. They don't care about any of this stuff going on. They don't care about this show. They don't care about the sport. They're not in here. They're not in here to contribute to the sport. Like, you guys are doing this show. You're trying to contribute to the sport. This dude's not in the sport to contribute anything to the sport. He's in here to take from it. He's in here to get his gas money by selling a 4-week axle program, and it's clown fit. There's, and just so we're clear, like a 4-week program, there's no such thing as a fucking 4-week program. There's not. Like 4 weeks might be enough to get you to like, okay, I'm kind of figuring out what I'm doing. And like for new lifters, like I had somebody when the whole Ben Galper thing was going on with the axle thing, and I kind of called him out for the axle being bent, which we can get into also. This dude's been online doing this stuff for years, and it's like, it took me one message to the guy, and then he caves in and says, yeah, it's bent, but I can still do. No, you can't, because if you could, you would have done it in competition. Don't tell me you can lift over 400 on a straight bar. We watched you lift in person on the Iron Mind axle, on the Rogue axle, multiple times, different places, over 2 years. You've never cracked over 385, dude. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So don't talk about you got 90 more pounds on the bar and you're doing all this shit and selling programs. Like, that's a scammer. Like, that's a scammer. And it's okay to call that person a scammer. It's okay to call them a liar because that's what they are. And that's when he posted something else back like, oh, sorry, guys, I'm a cheater. And I'm like, well, no, you're not a cheater. You've only done 385 in competition. You're not cheating.
Yeah.
You're just a fucking liar, dude. Like, that's it. Well, then he hides the comment, and then, oh, now you can only see what he types, and he's hiding my shit. So it's like, it took me one message. He admits that his bar is bent. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know nothing else about that dude.
Yeah.
You're faking lifts. Like, that's all it is. And then you hide my comment, whatever. And these are the people that they have such a weird main character syndrome that they think that because you call out their bullshit that they're living rent-free in your head. Like, no, dude, it took me 5 seconds to just look and be like, yeah, you didn't put 90 pounds on your fucking axle in 2 weeks. It's not hard to figure this shit out. And these people that do fake stuff like that, they always tell on themselves. I'm not going to like go out here on say that I'm like a grip forensics guy. I joke about that behind the scenes. But when it comes to figuring out people that do fake lifts and stuff,
we've got the grip board for that.
I'm going to get into some of these lifts as well here as we keep going, because like I said, I'm just going to read numbers off. Yeah. I'm just going to read numbers off, and that's what happened. That's what's presented. It's not like it's my opinion. So we'll get into that. But yeah, no, for unofficial world records, they don't exist. I think an unofficial world record is just a good day of training. And it's okay to just say you hit a PR in the gym. It's okay to say that. And you don't have to try to make it seem bigger than it is. And I think that's something that's happens a lot in our sport. People come into it, they get a little more recognition because it is such a small pond, and it's a very supportive small pond. Mm-hmm. Like you could become a power lifter today. Make up your mind. I'm gonna be a power lifter today. You could go like 200 power lifters pages. They're probably not gonna follow you back. They'd be like, "Who the hell's that? I don't know that person." Yeah. You do that in grip, you're gonna have some of the best lifters that have ever done this shit following you back instantly. No questions asked. Like. Legitimately, and there'll be a lot of them. So it's a small pond, but it's very supportive. So I think sometimes people
no, like that. You're right. You are right. Like immediately after my first Arnold, like Tammy, Sarah, Melissa Dingy, like just people. I'm like, oh my God, they're amazing. Like, why are they following me? And you're right. And it starts that way, and it still happens that way. And you're absolutely right. As somebody who just competed in their first powerlifting meet, I can say that with certainty.
Who did 365 double overhand on the bar for her deadlift. So,
but also I also had to prove that to somebody recently. So but I can. So I mean, I'm sorry.
Is that what we're talking about? The 365 double overhand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah, I did that in a competition, and somebody was like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Okay, here's the video, and here's people loading the plates." It's like it's silly. I mean, like I get it. Ben specifically said unofficial world record, and you can say like, I just lifted 400 pounds on the axle and like freak out about it. And he has a huge following. So like his algorithm and his followers will do the work for him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he didn't need to do that. and he did it. And you're right, this main character energy. And Will and I make silly videos all the time. We love attention as well. But
All of my
you know,
videos are
it's
100% serious. I take myself very
but
seriously.
yeah, it's not. I think there's a difference. You know, there's just views for views, and like I'm excited about my training recently, or I found this funny, or whatever. And I'm not coming from a place of hate. Like if you can amass a huge following just based on who you are, like my hat's off to you. I still don't know how to do that. So
Yeah.
that's great. But it does make it a sideshow, and you're right. He's not giving anything to this sport. He is taking from it and claiming unofficial records as part of that.
Well, and even the weight class records he holds are in pretty shallow classes or shallow events that don't have a bigger sample size. And it's always inflated. It'll be like, 15 world records, and it's like you barely have like 4 weight class ones in one organization. So like, and I don't want to spend too much time on even talking about the guy like that.
Yeah.
But, the thing that I have a problem with, where you're talking about, people doing like things for fun, like you or Will, for attention, like views for views, that's fine. It's just that when this guy is portraying a lift and he's convincing new people that if you follow my training,
Yeah.
it's going to enhance you and give me money for it. And he's in the comments and people say, hey man, how come you lift so much more on the Rogue axle than the Iron Mind axle? And he doesn't say, the first thing he should say is, well, it's bent. If he doesn't say it's bent, it's over. So the second he goes, well, the 1.9 with the Rogue just kind of lines up with my finger joints a little bit. But dude, like you're a fucking scammer. Like just say it's bent, and that's why you're lifting 90 pounds more. And there's always some shenanigans going on out there with bars being bent and offset Saxons where the sleeves are higher up in the hands and people act like it's the same thing. And I just,
Ooh.
like,
Well, yeah.
it's just, I could go on and on. But like William Reed is out there. William Reed is an awesome
A monster.
competitor. Yes, William Reed is a great lifter, and you don't see William Reed participate in any of the clown stuff. He's been solid from day one, and it's just a choice people have to make is who do you want to be? And as far as followers go, when we talk about like followers and likes, Ben Galper's page or some of these other people that just happen to have that online boom, that's fine. But like Carl Meyersko has like 2,000 to 3,000 followers. So like, so at some point in time, you have to kind of make up your mind, like, do I actually want to be good at this thing and respected? Or is it just likes and follows over everything else, and I'll just whore myself out at any cost?
Yeah.
So, that's where I kind of start drawing a very hard line with people is I'm not up here trying to post 5 videos a day. I'm not trying to put trendy captions. It's like I'm doing my stuff, documenting my training.
Yeah.
If people hit me up, message me, I get back to them. And I'm not ever going to lie to anybody. I'm not ever going to make up shit. And that's what I'm about. That's what my stuff is about if I post it. You know what I mean? So I can't control other people or what they do, but I can at least have an opinion on it. Like if I know you're lying, you're ripping people off. I mean,
well, it's like,
oh, sorry, keep going.
Oh no, I mean, I was just gonna say it's like fitness influencers that edit their photos and then sell weight loss plans, right? Like it's the same kind of thing. It's,
edit their photos after they take steroids.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if you're not
chicken and white rice.
Exactly. Yeah, I eat chicken, broccoli, and white rice. That's it.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. But
we can get off of him. We don't want to give him any, more time here.
That's fine. It's just it just is one of those things where you got to know what you're looking at when you see it. And we've all seen him in person lift. We all know what he can really do. And I just, really just said something because at some point it's kind of like, man, how many people are you fooling? Like he had, the thing that really made me comment that day was Indy was kind of looking up to him in a way like he was doing something mesmerizing and he couldn't be on his level. And I'm like, dude, you're probably stronger than that guy. Like, quit putting him on a pedestal.
Well,
you know
he was like, I'm trying to get to where you are, and I looked it up, and I was like, Indy, you pulled 170 at your last competition. He pulled 175. Like that's the most he's ever pulled is 175 kilos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're there, guy. Like, you don't need to, you know, you're not as far off as you think. Like, this video is very misleading. So yeah, no, I agree. I think it's and I again, not trying to give him more attention, but I messaged him during that whole thing because I was like, okay, I need to get like from the horse's mouth, like why and what's going on here, and I need to let him know, like, I think this is a problem. And so whether you know, he's going to care about me. I'm a podcast host, so he, you know, we had a good discussion. He was very nice, and like, you know, I don't have any issue with him as a person, other than the fact that I think he's deceptive. But like, you know, I was like, hey, you see how this is like problematic, right? Like, you've got somebody who's very close to you, who is competing actively in the sport, who is trying to measure up to what you're doing. That's going to happen with new lifters. You're going to set these weird standards for people that they're not going to be able to achieve, and they're, you know, that could be demotivating, and to a certain point that's on that other person, right? You can't be responsible for what other people find motivating and don't. But like, if you really care about the sport, if you really care about, you know, contributing to the community, if you're going to sell a grip program, that to me, it should be an indicator that you care about grip and you care about the sport. And if you're going to do things that offset that by setting unrealistic expectations for new lifters or for even existing lifters, like that's a problem. So I don't think he necessarily saw it that way, but that's okay. But
the
yeah,
the narcissists never do.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
You know, so,
yeah, we could jump on to something else, but yeah.
Sure. But yeah, I think I don't know if we want to move into questions, or if you have anything, or did you want to go into those numbers that you had, Zach, or what's your what is that?
You know what? Like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I'm springing an attack on people. I'm just calling it like it is, because it makes it very tough for me. It makes it tough for me because a couple of the points I'm about to make is I'm in the sport too. I'm a lifter.
Yeah.
I got to cut weight. I got to train. I got to pay registration fees. I got to show up and do the lifts, you know? So like, this isn't just me bringing up stuff that's like not related to my own experience. Like, this is, I participate in the sport almost more than anybody. I've done like 40-ish competitions in like 4.5 years. Like 26 GSI, and then I've done like 3 Arnolds, 1 Olympia, a couple of the first Super Series, and some unsanctioned stuff. So I'm like close to like 40 competitions in a little over 4.5 years or so. So I've done a lot, like, I mean, as far as that goes. So and it's been in different places. It's not like in one little spot. So I've just seen a lot of things. So some of the stuff I would like to bring up, and like I said, this is not me like putting out some hit piece or something. It's stuff that I'm aware of, that I see, and it's stuff that is kind of a buzzkill for me in the sport, and it makes me not want to do anything. Like, I just don't think I'm going to be. I'm not going to do the Arnold this year. I don't really particularly want to lift for Arm Lifting USA at all. Yeah. And I've been somebody that's competed on both sides from the very beginning. I started with a competition at James Rederitas' place in like June of 21. The very next month, I went out to Juji Mufu's to grip Genie for the first stage of the Super Series in Charlotte. So those are my first 2 competitions, like within a month of each other, GSI and arm lifting. And I've, you know, bounced back and forth between, you know, being as active as I could in whatever competitions made sense. So I've never been biased one way or the other. I've never been somebody that was just, you know, sort of born into one system or believing something. I form my own opinions by traveling all over the country and, you know, meeting people and living with them and seeing stuff. So, yeah, I don't have like an agenda. You know what I mean? I'm not like gaining something by saying what I'm saying. I'm just telling you guys my experience. So,
you're starting
stuff
your
that
own
I would look
federation.
at, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So stuff that I would look at, right? We've known about certain like people that cheat in the sport. It's been brought up, or, you know, it's very rare, but it does happen from time to time. and I don't really have a tolerance for it. So in my opinion, it's like, it's not that I'm obsessed with the sport. Oh, it's the only thing I have going on in my life. No, it's just that it's a very fun sport. It's really fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if people are lying and cheating, I don't know that that's ever going to really be fun. I think that kind of messes up the whole point of everything. And then there's some other misleading stuff going with that. So just diving right in, if a newer lifter hosted a venue and they put themselves into an age bracket or a weight class that they did not qualify for, I think that would be somebody that would be like, no, that's cheating, right? I think that would be something that would be very simple to call out.
Yeah.
Yet Ricardo Magni gets to do it and nobody says anything and it's just supposed to be okay. And when you specifically put yourself in classes just so you can add credentials and medals, that back to what we talked about earlier, like what does it really mean when you have to put so many filters on it? So the issue I'm bringing up is when I see stuff like somebody that is 49 years old and they compete in a 50 plus masters division, just because they think that they can just do that. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care if you're a day one lifter.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong.
What comp was
And
that?
I think that is the 2024 Arnold. He put himself in the masters division and he was still 49 years old. He had about 3 months before he would be 50. And if the age group is going to be 49 in 9 months, then put that on the fucking list.
Yeah.
But don't just start throwing yourself in categories. Because if that's the case, well, then do I really need to cut 3 pounds to make 198 for 90 kilos? Shit, I weigh 201. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Right? Just fuck it. 3 pounds. Well, just give me that, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, that lockout was close. Just give it to me. Right? So we have to draw definite lines when we're doing this stuff. And that's from the bottom to the very top of the sport. And and here's the thing, right? I can't speak for anybody else when it comes to, why somebody would make that choice. But that leads to one of these world championship medalist type deals where we have somebody that has these accolades, which I'll get into what that really means. But, you pull a bronze medal in a master's division that has 3 lifters, meaning you got last place, or 4 lifters, which means you were 3 out of 4. Should you have competed in your proper weight class, you would have been 5th place. And that would have been 5th place out of 6. And that's the right answer, is you should have just taken your loss like a man and taken your 5th out of 6 at the 110 kilo, and don't put yourself in a category you don't belong in just so you can get a 3rd place medal and then add that to your world championship medalist pitch.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
And again, it's being used. That kind of stuff is being used to back up credentials and
selling stuff. Yeah.
So
And no, I'm sorry. You're just reminding me of the women's group at last year's Arnold. And I'm specifically talking about Hannah Lewandowski and Jen Tibbenham. And Jen Tibbenham is cutting weight under the impression that her weight class will be offered. Hannah Lewandowski is competing with the thought that I'm in 3rd right now. This is great. And then at the end of the show, it's oopsies, we combined you guys. There weren't enough, but they did have enough. They had the exact same amount as the Masters did in that class. So it just reminded me of that moment and how angry we all were that it was an afterthought, that we were an afterthought. And that's how it felt. And I don't know if that's the intention, but if you are combining a weight class or if you are making changes, your athletes need to know prior to it so they can decide for themselves if it's worth cutting weight or even going.
Yeah.
it's selecting their attempts during the competition. If that person's not in my weight class, I might be basing my jumps off them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and they didn't know. Yeah.
You could make me miss a lift because I'm chasing somebody that's not even in my class. And, so yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point, Haley. I'll just dive real quick into this one. It's just, the whole 7-time world championship medalist. And I'm just, like I said, this is just factual stuff, right? This stuff's all out there. And I'm literally using spreadsheets and stats right off the Armlifting USA website. So it's not like this is Zach's spreadsheet. I'm not making up anything. So if I just to explain, if we're going to count a bronze medal in a 3-person or 4-person masters division, once again, all these filters, if we're going to count that as a world championship medalist, and this gets to be added to your accolades, I want to put that in perspective for people listening. So what this really means is anybody that podiums could technically say they're a world championship medalist. That's what's, if you get silver at the 90 kg men's class, or well, then you could technically claim that you're a world championship medalist, because that's what the president does. So I have 2 different competitions, the 2023 Olympia and the 2024 Arnold out here. And I just want to put this in perspective, that if we were to say what a world championship medalist means, is that the 2023 Olympia had 65 total competitors in it, and 35 people medaled. That's 53%. 53%, over half of the people there are world championship medalists. So we're starting to get to that point where maybe 53% of us should just start our own coaching. Maybe we should all just start promoting stuff like that. Maybe we should all just, if we're pulling bronze medals typically, that's telling me that there's a gold and a silver above that. That's 2/3. So not only are 53% of the people medalists, but 2/3 of the people are more qualified than you, or at least better than you at it. So that's how we would put that in perspective, right? So, if we want to use these things in one direction to benefit ourselves, well, don't get mad at somebody else when they point out statistical data that, kind of puts it in perspective. For the 2024 Arnold, 84 total competitors, 41 medaled, 48.8%. So I'm not going to do all of them. I saw enough from just doing those numbers. But basically, roughly half of the people that go to the Expo experience walk away with a medal. That doesn't mean that some of those weight classes aren't tough and you're barely scraping by. I myself have barely scraped by to get a damn bronze medal lifting against Devin Lee Brown, Eric Roussane, Cliff Keener, Yvonne Chuk. Like, these dudes, they're just strong. We all are typically, in those weight classes or whatever. But so I'm not knocking anybody that gets a medal. Like I said, I've played the game too. I'm right there with everybody. But I'm not running around right now talking about how I'm a 5-time world champion, XYZ. And it goes back to my original point where, I'm in the sport as well. So it just becomes a little bit misleading to me when I speak to people, and there's not a single lift that you can beat me at, ever. Never. Not a single lift in any database of any organization in grip. Will Ricardo beat me in a lift? Never. It won't happen. But I have all these people that think that he's some giant figurehead that's so much better than me, or knows more, or is in a better position to coach. And that's all just a narrative that you create, So it's like, I'm not knocking it, but like, am I supposed to just sit back and act like I suck, I'm not any good, not say anything, and just let you run your game and, do what you do? Or could I at least say, hey, this is what criteria for the world championship medalist means, and hey, here's some things to put this in perspective so we can, understand that half of us are world championship medalists, half of us are medalists, so to speak. So like I said, it's just the wording and the presentation of it. And newer people are maybe not familiar with that kind of stuff. So I think it's important for them to understand that if somebody's selling you something and claiming that they're a world champion or a world championship medalist, like I said, very, very interesting wording, but you need to know what that really means, particularly if you're handing them money and you're looking at what they do. And and their results should kind of back up more than their words. Like, I can show you some of the lifts I've pulled off. I don't need to fucking give you a brochure and start telling you why you could. I help people all the time in the sport. If, like I said, maybe it's not as public as people know about, but behind the scenes, if you talk to enough people, I'm always helping people for free all the time. And I understand if somebody wants to make a business out of something, that's cool. Everybody's free to do what they want, but others are also free to sort of shine a light on what you're kind of doing as well, you know. So
Yeah.
I'll quit talking and rambling there. I'll let you guys throw some stuff back.
Well,
No, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Any of our newer listeners, you know, a lot of our friends listen, so I don't know if anyone's tuning in because it's you, Zach, but any newer listeners, like, do your homework before you hire a coach.
yeah.
Make sure that their accolades back up with what your goals are and how they align with you. Now, obviously, he is selling a business. He's selling himself. He's selling the business of Arm Lifting USA. He's selling his coaching program. So he is going to list those things as a selling point. And it's up to you, the audience, or you, the athlete, to decide, hey, I'm going to look into this a little bit further, and I want the best of the best to coach me. And you know, I think when I first started, I made some mistakes with asking the wrong people, and ultimately I found out what worked for me. And I have a really good relationship now with Carl, and he's been helping me considerably. So I think, like, you know, you fumble along the way a little bit, and then you find out, okay, they're walking the walk, you know, and they're just talking. So I think the distinction there is really important.
And I think I have 2 points. One is a serious point, and one is like a kind of a, we'll call it a hot take. But the serious point is, like, you know, when you're looking at it, and Zach, you and I have talked about this too, is like when you're looking at people who are offering like coaching services, being able to look at, you know, like you said, Haley, fit and everything like that, but also, you know, making sure their accolades match up. But like with grip, there are so many different factors that come into when, like, why somebody's good. Like, your hand size could be perfect, your hand could be made for a certain thing, and then you're automatically just good at that stuff. But if you, and this is we'll call it an encouragement for newer lifters, is like, the people that you should be looking up to, in my opinion, are not the ones who are just naturally strong, who are just naturally have, you know, 9-10 inch hands, whatever, can palm a milk jug, Nate. But like, look at the people who've made a ton of progress. Like, look at the people who figured it out, right? Like, look at someone who started with a 150 axe or a Saxon, and then, you know, now they're up at like 230 or something. Like, look at the people who've done that, rather than the people who came into Axel being strong because their hands are made for it, or you know, they have some natural level of strength already that you know, that's not applicable to you, right? And so I think that that's an important thing to look at when you're considering coaching, and when you're considering who do you want to be like, and who do you want to emulate, is who's made the most progress. And that's not always readily available. Sometimes it is. You know, the GSI database will show you what competitions people have been in and where they started and where they're at now and all that, and that's a good resource. So definitely look that up. And then the other little, like, hot take thing I'll say is, like, do we think it's okay that the president of the organization offers coaching services, like, from an ethics perspective? Like, I'm not saying he is doing anything wrong or giving favorability, but, like, to me, I'm like, can you be an efficient and be in that position and also offer, and also be somebody's, like, coach, and have a coach client relationship as well as like a competitor relationship? Like,
As long as you're not in the same weight class. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah, exactly.
wait a minute, you just told me to take 3 weeks rest?
Well, Eric says he
buddy,
takes
we're
up
in
to
the same
14
weight
days,
class.
right? So
Don't train. We're in the same weight class.
Yeah.
I'm joking about that, but no, yeah, I do get what you mean there a little bit.
I don't know.
For sure. I just think it's one of those things, again, with it being kind of a lesser known sport, or that smaller pond. You know, there aren't too many people that are experienced in it, and if the handful that maybe have some of that experience decide to coach, I mean, I don't know if it would be considered like a conflict of interest or anything, but as long as somebody else is officiating and other things like that, no one's getting like questionable calls, I don't really see an issue with that as much. Unless, you know, I will say this, unless you're at a multi-venue super series and you're reading off data to other lifters telling them what they need to jump people,
Yeah.
then that might be a problem. Not saying that happened, but I have some intel in the underground.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up. That's all.
No, the last thing on the coaching stuff. For you guys, I have a question for you, both you guys.
Yes, I will be your coach.
Okay, 2 spots left.
2 spots left.
So for both of you, you guys have competitive backgrounds and other things, right? You could just pick one of them, right? Haley might be volleyball for you, Highland Games, or whatever else. Will, what do you do that you would say is like something you kind of know in and out, and it's really something that you've put a lot of time into?
Rowing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So neither of you would probably ever dream of doing rowing or volleyball or whatever that may be for like 8 months or a year, and then think that you're just instantly going to start coaching everybody else on how to do it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that would be pretty insane. Right? So once again, back to this small pond thing. If you haven't had enough time to feel these implements for yourself, you haven't had enough time to problem solve, to even know what carries over to the other thing. And that's just for you, as you mentioned, Will. Sometimes people have different dimensions in hands. One of the biggest things I have to make sure that I would do in the past when I was working with a lot of like women in self-defense or women fighters, or I'd have to work with kids, is they're not 6'2", 235 with 15 years of fighting experience. What works for Zach might not work for them. So I have to be able to make these things, like you said, applicable to them. Not just, oh, well, this is what I would do. Well, okay, like we're not you, so what do I do in that situation, right? So when being a coach, you have to understand that what works for you with 8.5-inch hands might not work for the female lifter who maybe doesn't have the same background and has 6.5-inch hands, or maybe has prior injuries. So if you don't even know your own self in this sport, you don't really know all the dimensions or what's going on or how things carry over or even prepping for different event lineups. Yeah. Because, I mean, with all the events we have, right, you could do silver bullet grippers. You could do a V-bar, a crusher, a Saxon. You could do the next competition. When I got to do a Euro and this. You don't even know how some of these things affect the other as you prepare for them as a coach. So how are you ever going to give proper advice to another lifter that you don't even necessarily have their you kind of get what I'm saying with that. I don't want to beat a dead horse too much with that topic, but so I think that we do see that a little bit. I think there's a lot of premature coaching that goes on in our sport, and I think that sort of I don't want to say that it sort of holds the sport back, but I think it does. It's hard to. I think all of us would like this fun sport that we do to be, more like widely accepted or grow bigger, just get out there more. But it's really hard when 50% or so can claim that they're world champions or championship medalists, and half the pack think that they can just coach after 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, that really causes the sport to lose a lot of credibility. So we all really enjoy the sport. We really love it. We want our sport to be taken seriously. But a lot of these actions from other people, it's counterproductive, So it's just another point to kind of bring up on that coaching topic.
Yep, I agree. Somebody asked me recently for grip coaching, and I said, nope, I'll help you out with volleyball though. Like that's exactly what I said. Like I was just like, no, but I can steer you in the right direction of people that can help you much better than I can. And I think like just being self-aware with that, knowing that there's no way you know all there is to know. And sure, I can help you with basic training and some tips and tricks that work for me. But as far as a coach, a full-fledged coach, that is something that, should be taken seriously. And like you said, you target your training towards an individual athlete and their injuries and their past. And yeah, but like I said, we don't have to beat a dead horse here and stay on that. But I'm just saying I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll do one last thing on the coaching thing. Not that getting a good coach or finding the right mix, not that you can't learn from people, right? Or you can't bounce ideas back and forth. That's what a lot of us did when we first got into the sport, just asking people some stuff or or watching videos. You pick it up as you go. But if you are brand new to this sport, and it's like anything else, like if you're new, I don't want to tell you that you could just do anything, but like
you kind of can though.
You can almost just do whatever you want. You
Yeah.
could max out 5 times a week. You could max out once a week. You could just do a bunch of wrist curls or variations of stuff. Like, all I'm getting at is if you're new to this sport for like the first year or two, you can almost do anything, and you're probably going to see some level of results. So
Yeah.
if you're 2 or 3 years in the game and you do a 4-week program and you saw results or something, it's like that still might not even be an indication that program is even worth a shit.
Yeah.
We don't know. So it's like these people that barely have any training experience, like if you've only been doing this sport and you have no lifting history and you've been training for 3 or 4 months, you're not in a position to even tell anybody if a program works or not. Like, come talk to me in 5 years and let me know if it works. Like,
Yeah.
And I say that from a perspective of like, I started actual like strength training around 13. And when I say I started at 13, like, got a weight bench, some weights from my uncle, and was actually like writing out programming. Like I had like reps and sets. So it wasn't like I was just like, I don't know, doing like bro bodybuilding stuff at the, not that we all don't do a little bit of that when we're kids or something, curl and whatever, get all pumped up. But yeah, so I've been doing like actual like program strength training since I was 13. It's like 22 years. So out of 22 years of competing in numerous sports across, a pretty high level, a lot of stuff, I kind of have a better sense of what would work or how to make stuff work for other people that, so, and I don't even coach, but I got people that like have barely been doing this sport for like 2-3 months. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll let you know if that program works. How are you going to let me know if anything works? You don't.
All right, boss. It probably will for you.
Newbie gains.
Anything's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And also for somebody that like, let's say you can close a number 1 gripper and you want to get to a 1.5. You don't have to hire a coach for that. Like there's certain things you just don't have to, like, it doesn't take some guru specialist to get you up to these decent baselines with doing training. So I just, I don't know. I'm always trying to help the people, and I just see people fall victim to certain things. They think they have to do it or they think it's better for them. And because the results start coming, they kind of lean into it more and think, oh, that's because it's just because you're doing something. Something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
So that's all.
And
Be quiet.
most people don't work, grip specifically that much. So, even if you've been working out for a long time, anything you start doing with your grip is going to improve it. But on a community note, new lifters, if you need or want any kind of advice, like Zach said, anybody within the community who's not a piece of shit is going to give you free advice. Like, they're not going to shoo you away or think they're too good for you. Like, Zach has been very helpful. He and I have had lots of discussions. Haley and I discuss stuff. We've got a whole other group. If you look up the Sad Little Sausages, that's me and Hunter Heath and Nate Powell. We run that page. But like, Hunter has been messing with every single variation of hand placement and thumb placement and leg placement and shoulder position. Anything you have a question about, anybody who's worth anything in the sport will give you those little tips and tricks to get you rolling for free. Coaches are for later. Like, if you're new, just start picking stuff up and holding it, and like just do stuff. But Zach, this actually ties in nicely with one of our anonymous questions. Said, would Zach consider grip coaching or programming? Most grip coaches are either juiced or have huge hands, or both. We need somebody like Zach who's extremely strong as a natty and has average sized hands. I don't know why I said you and not me, but that's fine.
I have not really considered making the jump into like full-fledged like coaching. And I only say that because, like, if I were to do that, that would be like 100% like all out.
Yeah.
Like, I would be doing like customized programming for that individual with their training history, injuries and stuff like I mentioned, all their numbers, all their stuff. I would be reviewing film. I don't do anything half-assed, so it would be extremely like detail-oriented. I would be like, all out. So I haven't made that jump, and I don't really want to right now. But I will say this: if somebody ever reaches out to me and asks me for tips, hey, what's a good accessory for this? Hey, I'm having trouble with this lift. I always will hit you up with free advice. It's very thorough. I'll send you videos. I'll send you messages and just stuff to help people out. So in that capacity, I have helped people out. I'm willing to do that. But as far as like saying I am a coach and, exchanging money and, me really sitting down for hours to write up things, I'm not doing that currently. I'm not saying I might not down the road, but once again, I got to practice what I preach. I've been doing this sport for 4.5 years, and I have about as many competitions in a 4 to 5 year period as anybody. I still don't think I should be necessarily coaching. I'm still finding out stuff myself every time I train or every time I compete. So, yeah, I don't. I think I'm capable of doing it, but I would like to, really make sure that if I ever make that jump, that it's not premature, like I've seen others do. So, yeah.
All right, anonymous listener or viewer at the very least. There's your answer. And yeah, I think the very first conversation we had was around Saxon, and I think we were on a video call for at least an hour and a half, if not longer. So
it's probably because you just kept talking, and I was just trying to.
That's got to be it. Yeah. I'm a yapper, but yeah. Okay. Haley, do you have any questions you want to do, or did you want to say anything else on the numbers there, Zachary, before we?
Oh man, like I said, I don't want to make this seem insane. I didn't really, I guess, fully wrap up my one point because it branches off right so easy.
Yeah.
But I kind of was just mentioning how some of those things kind of steer me away from really wanting to. Like I don't want to hand $125 to somebody if I.
Yeah.
I got to think how to put this. I don't want to just hand $125 to somebody to kind of continue to do the same events and sort of just go through the same thing that I've already done for years and years and years. And as particularly if I know that they have done things like put themselves in classes that they shouldn't be to then benefit from that. I'm not a fan of that. And one of the other things that I didn't get to that I was going to slide in there was if anybody remembers the 2024 Olympia, there was a Raptor medley, 2-inch Raptor medley where the third pin had I won't use the word suspicious, but it had a different handle or a 2-inch Raptor that had a different texture or didn't quite spin or ask the people that lifted there. I wasn't there, but I know what the handle is. And I'll just say this. When you have Alexei Tukalov afraid that he's not going to land a rep on the pin because the weights are so heavy, that's probably alarming because Alexei's almost in a category of his own, right? Other than maybe Carl, right? So you got like those guys. But if Alexei's walking around saying, man, I think that last pin's too heavy, he's worried about he's not even going to rep on the third pin. That's like one of the best dudes to ever do this sport.
He just set the record on the Rolling Thunder again, right? So
I don't know if he did a Little Bighorn.
Oh, was it Little Bighorn? Yeah, sorry.
For Iron Mind, Iron Mind record. Yeah.
I think,
which is another one of those things, Iron Mind record, not a...
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there right now. But yeah. But no, Alexei was worried about that. Well, goes up and proceeds to pull like double-digit reps. And everybody that's there were some people on the second pin that, it's slipping out of their hands. They can't do it. They finally like grind out that good rep. And then they proceed to go to the heavier pin and rep out like 5 or 6 more on the heavier pin. That lets you know right there, if everybody's like PRing and setting, more reps on this heavier thing, there's an issue with the handle.
Yeah.
Instantly, my mind goes back to 2022 Super Series because the 2-inch Raptor was contested. And like I said, this is all statistical stuff. It's on the website, unless somebody changes it. That year, and like I said, I'm not trying to just tear us down, but this is just me explaining why I don't really feel like paying money to people that are doing this kind of behavior. I'm just not supporting it. But that year, Ricardo had the second highest Raptor lift in our weight category, and he outlifted me by 18 pounds. That's his Raptor.
Yeah.
So when you use a faulty handle in a multi-venue competition, it didn't change the overall standings because you can't do that for all 5 events, but you're still getting a lot of points on an event that you don't really deserve. And, it's one thing to do it in multi-venue, but I just can't believe people are that. I don't want to say dumb, but how are you going to bring that out in public like that? I mean, like I said, that's why I say these people always tell themselves. They don't realize it, but when you sit around long enough and you pay attention, they're always going to reveal something, and they can't help it. So, like, oh man, the 2-inch Raptor's a great lift for me. Well, yeah, on that handle it is for everybody. We saw that at the Olympics. The problem is when you do that in your garage and you beat me by 18 pounds when you can't lift an inch dumbbell, it causes some concerns. So it's very odd to me that Ricardo outlifted me by 18 pounds. He also beat Andy Muncie. He also beat Ben Helms on that handle. There's just, that's the reaction everybody should have. That's not disputable. Right now, there are a select group of people, and I have all the names. I'm not going to go through it because we're kind of, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but I'm just bringing the facts out. And the next Arnold after that Super Series, the 1.75-inch Raptor was contested. Mm-hmm. That was the first time that was contested at the Arnold. And he lifted less on the 1.75 Raptor than he did on the 2-inch. Meanwhile, all the other lifters had an increase of 20 to 30 pounds on all their lifts.
Sure.
I don't want to give money to somebody that's putting themselves in classes they don't belong in, using faulty equipment, and essentially, why am I paying you money if you're going to use some cheap stuff and beat me on certain, like, I'm not doing it. So like I said, so that's just me sort of finalizing and explaining why I'm at a point now where I've been doing this long enough that if I'm going to put $125, $150 towards a competition for the same events, like, well, I'll just host my own competition. I'll just put $125 back into the grip show. Like, I don't need to keep funding that kind of behavior. If that's what you want to do, go do that. But like, that's not fun to me. It's not fun when somebody's going to rip me off by lifting on a faulty handle. It's not fun when somebody's going to like move themselves in categories that they would never do for another lifter.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do that when you always have the rosters and you know exactly where to put yourself to get medals, but nobody else has that luxury because none of us can ever know who we're competing against for some reason. Like, it's just weird. So anyway, that was my final thought really on that. Was there's just too many things, too many suspicious things over the years. And I just feel that if I keep playing that game, I'm wasting time supporting somebody that I don't believe is on my level. And I don't see a reason to pay that person when I could be pouring that into the stuff I'm building and my people that I respect in the sport. So I would rather put that money towards sponsoring competitions, working on my show. If we're running nationals again, put that towards GSI nationals. There's other places that money can be used instead of me going somewhere where I'm like sort of an afterthought, or I'm just another, I don't know, lesser than that's hanging out. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, you've certainly brought information. I don't know that a lot of our listeners know this stuff. I didn't know this prior to this conversation, so it's kind of enlightened me quite a bit. One of our anonymous questions was Zach born with the hater's curse? It's like, were you like, do you, I guess, is it in you to uncover these things, or is it that you're such a purist that like you want to make sure that they're backing it up? Like, what was the crux for you to dig a little deeper into specific lifters to find out the legitimacy or compare, like what was the straw that broke the camel's back for you?
Really, it's just like Will mentioned. He said, you can kind of see these lists and you see where you're at, and you're sort of climbing up these lists, and you know what you're capable of. And when you start to compete with more people, you know what they're capable of. And when you see things that are like major outliers, it's a red flag. Like if, and I'll use this as an example, right? Haley, who's somebody that like is really close with you on certain lifts? Or actually, I'll go that route. Sorry.
Helen.
Okay, Helen Wynn. Yeah. So it would be, it wouldn't even be like if Helen was beating you by 18 pounds on something, because you guys are fairly even. it would be like somebody that's barely even like in contention is beating you by 15, 20 pounds on something. It stands out. It's
Yeah.
not that I'm like hunting it down or stalking these people. It's just you look at something, it's funny, or you look at a spreadsheet. If we're doing 5-pound jumps, well, if you do like 115, 5 pounds, 120, 125. If you look down that spreadsheet, it's going to go 5, 0, 5, 0, 5, 0, unless somebody does a fractional jump. If you start seeing funny shit like 206.3, how did you get to that number? So a lot of times it's not so much that, I'm trying to like hunt these people down or look at it. It's just that you just very like matter of fact look at it and you're kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, how did that guy just do 18 pounds more on this? Or how did this person do? So it usually kind of reveals itself. But yeah, I would say it's more of me. I don't think I'm a hater. Like I said, I'm not hating anybody. I just
Pattern recognition.
Yeah, it's to kind of recognize
Yeah,
what happens and seeing the game. But yeah, I'm kind of a purist. I just think that, if I lift something and it's a half-pound light, I'm not going to round up. I'm not going to tell you guys I lifted something I didn't. I can't do it. It just I lose credibility the second I do that. If I host my own competition and I don't have like 2 or 3 people watching me weigh in, I'm going to make sure that happens so that I don't ever have any questions. Like I'm always going to go the extra mile to make sure that I'm not remotely in that category of that behavior. Because once you do it once, that's kind of it. It's hard to bounce back from that. There's a lot of really good people in the sport that, for some reason, have done some questionable things at some point in time, and not that you necessarily lose all respect for them, but it's very hard to kind of earn that trust back. When you do something questionable. So yeah, it's just kind of paying attention to stuff. And when you analyze and cover the stuff, I'm seeing what people lift all the time. I'm measuring myself to certain people.
Yeah.
So outliers are a little bit easier to see. Or if people put, 50 pounds on a lift in 2 weeks, you just know that's something's up. Those bumps are 25s, not 45s.
Yeah.
I see what you guys are doing. But no, I'm messing around. But yeah, I don't know if you guys just want to run through some questions. I have a couple topics I could always run into. But yeah, any questions you guys have for me or the audience or whoever, I'm down to answer.
We got a lot of questions.
Oh man, okay.
But yeah, I don't know, Haley, you got another one there? Or?
Mike Saffel had a good question. He said, how do we get GSI into big events without losing the essence of what GSI stands for? Or do you even need to?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. For me, I think it would be nice to see the sport grow. I mean, it's something that a lot of people before us have put so much effort into. I don't think it's a bad thing if it somewhat stays where it's at. But like anything in training, we're typically not trying to be like, oh, I got to this point, let's just, coast. We're typically trying to progress and improve things without kind of losing the soul of the sport. I think, honestly, it just takes people with, I don't necessarily want to say money, but more so it's the time and support. It's with Jed kind of running GSI, it's been a tough thing in the past where, I mean, it's not like he's just free to do whatever he wants all the time. I always joke with him and just say, oh, you got that YouTube money. You're on YouTube, you're a YouTuber, you got that YouTube money. And he's, it's not like that's his job is YouTube, right? It's it's his channel he's been running forever. But yeah, some of these things takes money and connections, and some of it just takes help. So for a long time, for GSI, I mean, Jed kind of being the main person leading the charge, he has a family, he has things he's doing, he has a gym that he has to, run and make sure that the lights are staying on there. He's coaching kids for sports. He's involved in stuff. I mean, he's a regular guy. He has a regular life. So he doesn't have like infinite funds and infinite time to just, call up people and hang out and be like, hey man, really like to get into that expo. And, so I think that it requires a little bit of help. People kind of, coming in to help him a little bit, or or maybe him reaching out and being willing to, you know, open up to some more help from certain people. But you have to also be careful because you don't know what their motive is sometimes. And, you know, the sport's kind of sacred to you. You know, I don't blame Jed sometimes for maybe not being as open to outsiders coming in because it's something that he's put a lot of time into, and you don't want somebody kind of just taking it and, you know, kind of like Mike said, you know, you want to kind of keep it what it is, but kind of boost it up and improve it sometimes, or put it in front of more eyes. So,
well, I guess, to that point, I mean, the more eyes thing, I mean, King Kong has seen increased numbers every year. Like this was the biggest year. Yeah. Right. Like, so it's not that it's lacking visibility, or it's not that it's lacking, you know, getting people involved. You know, King Kong is a GSI competition. It's worldwide, and we have more and more people every year with that one. And so I don't know if, I mean, to his question, like, is more visibility, are the expos necessary? I would say maybe if like Jed wants to retire from everything else and run this solely as his thing and have this
business,
like if that's what he wants to do, then sure, you need to get into those big events and you need to get bigger numbers at the, you know, more eyes in those instances like that. But it's just a strategy thing, and I don't know that like you said, you need help, you need infrastructure. Like I think Jed would be a killer MC at those big events. Like I think he could run that stage really well.
He stepped into his big time wrestling persona.
Exactly. Yeah. He would be everything that I always hope to see at the Arnold. And I'm like, so I don't think that he would have a problem with that. But yeah, again, doing the organization, doing the setup, doing the money side of things, because GSI being so grassroots is like anybody can sanction a competition. There's no annual membership fee. You know, the only, you know, there's just it's not a money focused organization.
Yeah, that's a big difference between the organizations. Armlifting USA is more of a business where, I mean, clearly there's people invested in it, and it's, you know, they're not trying to lose money.
Yeah.
And GSI is kind of a lifter first platform format, and money is not the priority. You know? And I think a good thing you brought up, Will, was just because it's not in expos, more competitions are being held and more people do that sport.
Yeah.
And with the regionals being brought in this year, I've recapped these competitions. There's been 20 to 30 people at every single regionals, and there's been about 7 or 8 of them. That's not counting other competitions. I might actually do like a statistical breakdown on the Grip Show and just show a side-by-side of like how many competitions were held by both organizations, how many lifters competed, and not trying to count duplicates and stuff, but I think it would surprise people that just because you're in the Arnold for one day out of the whole year, or 2 days, 2 to 3 days, Friday, Sunday, or you're at the Olympia for 2 days, you know, that's 5 days. That doesn't tell the whole story in 365-day calendar year. There's never been as many competitions held this year in the past for GSI. This is like the most competitions have been held in a year, the most participation. So that growth is there. It's just not tied or attached to something else, like an event. And I would just like to say, oh, sorry. Yep. Haley.
No, I don't hear about these events. Like I don't hear about the regionals. Like maybe I'm not visiting the grip board enough, but I think there should be more visibility on it. Because like I didn't even know about them until like your show would recap them, and then it was like, oh man, there's a missed opportunity for me, and or what, you know, whatever. And I'm like, man, where was that information? And maybe I'm not reading the newsletter that day or that week, or not going on the grip board enough. So not to say, and that's my own fault. Like if I'm not checking it, then I don't know. But you know, more people spreading the word would be helpful. Just because there's no one around me that does it, I would have to drive out to Sleepy Hollow or down to Pennsylvania for Snacktown Squeeze or one of these other events. So, which is fine, but I don't hear about it unless I have a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, just because it's on my mind and I don't want to forget later, Jeff Peterson he messaged us and asked if we would let everybody know that he's going to be hosting the 2026 North American GSI Grip Championships. So I don't know where he is. Do you know where he is, Zach? Minnesota.
Yep.
All right.
It'll be Minnesota. Yep.
So out in Minnesota, and I think he is putting a big emphasis on getting like female participants as well. That's something that he was messaging with like Nate and Sierra and stuff about. Was getting that.
Yeah, Jeff is really trying to. Jeff is. I had Jeff on the show for the recap of I believe it was the Get a Grip in Minnesota competition I went to. I competed against Jed and Eric out there. Jeff put up his own money, $1,000 for first place,
wow,
$750 for second, and $500 for third. So Jeff is actually one of the people that has a deep history in the sport. Earlier, like 04, 05, there was like articles and stuff. He's kind of gotten back into it. Has a strongman background and all that. We get into that on my show with him and that recap a little bit as well. But Jeff is back in the sport, training, and he is on the promotion side. The things that he would do for strongman, he's really trying to kind of bring that same presentation, that same kind of, I guess, funding, if you will, to some degree, but just trying to kind of boost it up and give it that, maybe next level appearance or that, bigger stage kind of thing. So that'll be a 2-day competition. The last North Americans was in Canada, and Eric hosted that. That's where it was the 2-day event, 3 or 4 events both days, like a 40-item medley. But yeah, so, I mean, Jeff is, going to take that because it alternates now every 2 years. So Canada did it in 24, 26 it'll be in the U.S., and that should be every 2 years now that, COVID stuff's done, all that. Now that the curve's been flattened because Jed wore his mask long enough so the curve's flat.
That's got to be the longest 2 weeks of my life. I'm just going to throw that out there. But
it seems like it was just yesterday, too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We had a question if you were going to GSI Nationals in Colorado.
Who asked that question?
I forget. I didn't. Maybe it was anonymous. Maybe it was. I didn't write it down. Either way, I'm sorry.
I am not sure that GSI Nationals is in Colorado, so maybe they're just trying to troll. I don't know.
I was like, I don't know. All right. There was no date. There was no nothing. Did you write it down, Will?
I didn't write it down. I have the NGLs pulled up.
Okay. To my knowledge, I don't know that Nationals has been completely
announced or confirmed.
Yeah, I don't think it's been fully announced. Behind the scenes, I've done some stuff talking about different events and stuff with some people, but I mean, I guess if it's held in Colorado, I'll probably try to go, but I'm not convinced that that's the case so far, so we'll see.
Does this question mean anything to you? Is that you, John Wayne?
I don't know who asked that. I mean, that's from the movie Full Metal Jacket, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why somebody's saying that to me, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen Full Metal Jacket, but that's when they're, basic training or whatever at the very beginning with Lee Ermey. And
Is that you, John Wayne?
So,
well, that was one of our anonymous questions, so truly we'll never know who that was unless they message you and say.
Just like that dude that was hunting with a musket listening to your show.
Yeah, I screwed that one up, and that still haunts me. The fact that I said musket. Sorry, you sound excited. Go for it.
Oh, I did. This is a really, really good question, and I don't know him. He actually started following us because you shared our story. Thank you. Seasoning varies so greatly from one venue to the next. Would it be fair to require new implements to be used in multi-venue comps like King Kong? And that is from Emmett. And I thought that was a great point.
Yes. Seasoning is one of the things that gets brought up because we also want, fair conditions for everybody and something that, Arizona where there's like no humidity versus my garage back when I lived in North Carolina. It's like ridiculous. It would like the dumbbells and handles would just be like sweating. They'd be like white with chalk and then they just turn brown and be like dripping water. So what I would mention for that is there was a document put out. I don't know if I have it with me right now. There is a document put out where I believe Eric and Jed got together and addressed what was allowed for basically seasoning, because there's no modifying equipment, right? You're not doing anything unnatural to it, but there are some areas where maybe you don't have that natural humidity. And I'd have to go back and read through this document, or we can post it or put it up for people to see. But it basically states that if you don't have that luxury, some people try to sort of if they get a new handle, they have 2 months till the competition. It's probably not going to rust as much, so they can use like water or like natural. Like a natural means like maybe spray some water on it, chalk it. Now, you're not spraying water on it while you're competing, but maybe you spray water on it or do something that would just be like the same as somebody that has that humidity. You're kind of just getting your thing to as close playing field, I guess. And I'd have to read that document more thoroughly right now. I don't have it like memorized what every little rule is, but there are ways that you can kind of get it's particularly like a bare steel implement to get it to kind of speed up that process of seasoning and having a better texture. And as long as it matches with that document, that's completely legal, and that could be done as well. But yeah, I think it's very tough to do, especially multi-venue, because even if you were to have the exact same handles, the actual weather itself, the garage, whatever you're doing, you're never going to be able to get it quite the same, but that is the goal. I mean, that is the goal for sure. But as far as taking a brand new item and getting it to, I don't know, look like it's 2 years old and you've only had it for 3 months, I'd have to refer to that document to kind of see what is allowed or what would be the best advice for somebody to try to get their stuff to rust up naturally.
Yeah. We'll get Jamie to pull that up in post and add it up there for everyone to read. But one of the anonymous questions: are grippers useless for carryover to other grip lifts?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
that's the right answer.
And that's coming from not an anti-gripper guy. I'm not the biggest gripper fan. But no, I think that there's going to be I think on the surface level, it's very easy to say, grippers do this and it doesn't really help anything else. And that might be somewhat true, but I don't think that tells the whole story. I do believe that there are some places and some things. I mean, grippers are hitting your fingers a different way where, the handles are going to be, coming out. Oh, I'm on camera. Coming out like in a V. So, it's tight here and it comes out. So, you're hitting your pinky and, the top fingers are closer to the spring. So I think there's certain portions of your hand that are getting hit. I do think it's good to have that kind of like dynamic movement. It's different because you are moving through a range of motion as opposed to, just statically kind of holding a position. But I don't think it hurts. Now there is a time frame where if you're hitting grippers too hard, it can really hurt your other lifts.
Yeah.
But if you're smart about the programming and you're using the grippers as a tool and not solely relying on them to carry over and like do the other work for you, I think they have their place. I think any of these things have their place. Like a lot of people will say that Titan's telegraph key doesn't do anything. I think that it does. It's just you have to kind of figure out, is that something you do towards the end of a workout? Is that something you do when key pinch is coming up? Like there's going with a sport this broad, there's going to be a place that things fit in. It's just, you got to kind of find that out for yourself, and everybody's going to be a little bit different and have their own ways, higher reps, lower reps, holds. So yeah, I always keep an open mind when it comes to stuff like that. I'm never going to almost use a blanket statement and say, that would never help, or this would never work, or this is the only way to do something. I'm very
Yeah.
like particular about. There's usually there's some truth to that, but then there's also I think some ways it can work.
I guess, yeah, I don't know where the stigma came from that there's no carryover to other things. Like we do wrist curls as like a range of motion. Like those are also doing flexion exercises. Like a gripper is also a flexion. I guess I just don't see why people think that there's zero carryover to other lifts when it's still working the forearm muscles in some way.
Yeah, I think some of that comes from the fact that like you could have somebody that could be like closing pretty good grippers, and maybe their axle's not good, or maybe they can't lift a heavy dumbbell, maybe their rolling handle's not good.
Well,
Like,
that's me because my body's not strong. But like,
but
but
it can be kind of complex when you get into it. But yeah, but then if you take somebody that's like got a 400-pound axle, or they can pinch 45, so they're probably going to do pretty good at grippers. Like, but just because you can do grippers doesn't mean you can do the other. So I think sometimes it's one doesn't always mean the other, but like I said, we're also different.
Yeah.
That story could be different for every individual lifter to some degree, but I think that's where it kind of comes from. Is just there's a lot of people that would get really, really obsessed, and all they would train was grippers, and then when they would get into some of the heavier weightlifting grip events, it wouldn't really show. They'd be like, man, I'm closing this gripper, but that's also in the absence of doing the other work. Like if you're using it all together. Yeah, I think that's, it's the balance thing like we talked about earlier a little bit. You're going to have to kind of figure out how to put it in there. But yeah, it's not a substitute for doing the other stuff,
Yeah. If that's the one thing that we accomplish with our show, Haley, it's that I want to dispel the gripper stigma.
Carryover stigma.
I want to get rid of the gripper hate that's within the community. I want people to embrace the grippers.
It's because you're good at it, though.
It's because I'm better at it than I am other things. We'll say, but they're good things. We don't have to have this division. There's enough division, right? Give love a chance, man. Anyway,
yeah, we got a lot of like questions that are. I don't want to be mean and say basic, but like. We've already been talking a long time, so I don't want to I'm not trying to skip over any of these. I'm sorry if I'm skipping over your guys's.
If you need me to do a rapid fire and just nail the question real quick, I can pick up the pace on some of them if you're like, hey, this one's not, we've already kind of talked about.
Yeah, we are. Okay, yeah. I mean, there are a few that don't need in-depth answers. Like, okay, why is Zach afraid to train outside in the elements? That's from Mad Cow.
You could have guessed who that was from.
No,
you could have guessed who that was from.
I started that. He wouldn't even be saying that if I didn't start messing with him about that. I've already been out in the elements this year anyway. I was out running, 2 miles. I've been getting up at like 4:45, about 5 a.m. and doing some running again. And I've been running in the rain, the elements. The snow's getting ready to come the next couple months. I'll be out there again. So, yeah, it's going to be a battle. I'm not afraid of the elements, but between like me, Mad Cow, and some of these other people, we just got to try to get Jason Dingy out in the elements.
Yeah.
Because the general hangs out inside drinking hot chocolate, and he's not really fazed by what's going on. But
listen,
it's more of a messing around inside joke. But I'm not afraid of the elements, Mad Cow. He knows that.
The general's already got his stars.
I'm going to host my next competition out in the middle of the snow. And just, it'll be like, what was it, Magnus when he had the, Magnus.
Oh, in Iceland?
Yes, where they're like out lifting on like a sheet of ice, and they're like lifting.
Yeah,
it was like
he still hosts it. Yeah, that's still every year. That's a great one. You should do that. I would come.
Yeah, I'm about to just do that like in the dead of winter and go out like in the field behind Dingy's house and just be in like a foot of snow, just lifting dumbbells.
Do it.
And Mad Cow better show up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Your favorite and least favorite comp lifts and feats, Vince Broderick. So this can be a rapid fire.
Okay. Least favorite comp lifts. I don't want to blank out on you guys. Let's see. Least favorite comp lift, probably. Honestly, I'm gonna hate to say this because it's such a great lift. is axle. I like the axle for training. I like, there's not too much else in grip that's going to benefit you more than training, both hands same time, hitting the body really heavy. So I understand the importance of it, but like last year there was like 7 competitions that had axle in it, and I like to stay pretty active, but I'm not pulling on an axle 7 times a year.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be able to perform my best. So due to that reasoning, the axle is good in moderation because I like it to be spaced out so you have time to kind of build up to something good. But if it's held every other month, axle is one of my least favorite to try to keep, getting up for because it's kind of taxing. As far as least favorite feats, I'm not going to pick a particular feat. I'll just say the way that people do it. I hate when people do plate curls and they flop their wrist back like this and they just fling the plate up and they don't do anything. Drives me crazy. That's one of them for that one. And then the other one was my favorites.
Yeah.
Favorites, I like combo lifts. Anything that I haven't done before. It might be tossing this to this hand and catching it, picking up something else. If I've already done one thing, I try to add to it and just keep building on it. So, my favorite lifts are just anything that isn't necessarily measured by a number. Like a loading pin lift, your crusher's this, it's that. Whereas like, hey, these are 245s. Can you pinch them? Can you not? This is a dumbbell. Can you pick that up? So I like those things that are just, very black and white, and then comboing them and building on them. Favorite competition lifts. I like when Stanowitz had the inch dumbbell rep out at the Greenville Grand. That was a good event for me. Stuff like that. I don't mind. Honestly, medleys. Medley's the best for me because I do so many different feats, and I'm a lot better at feats of strength than I am a lot of the competition lifts. So when you basically just bring all of the feats together in a giant medley, there are a lot of people that will beat me in an expo format. They won't even break half the stuff off the ground that I lift in a medley. So the expos don't always tell the whole story because it's such a limited selection.
Well, they have medleys at the expos. They've got the GFC medley. That's a real medley.
I like that.
That's a real medley.
It is. It's awesome.
Definitely a real anonymous question. Will Ben Helms ever protect his toes, or will he continue to be the strongest lifter in slides? Is that the key to his strength?
He was doing Crocs for a while.
He was.
Maybe but then also online, now not as well-rounded yet, but on the dumbbells, Ricky Fox.
Oh, that guy.
Also a monster that is a proponent of wearing Crocs during his training. So
Indeed.
In certain things, Ricky might be stronger. Like on the dumbbells right now, I think he's stronger than Ben on dumbbells, and he has the same foot attire.
He picks up a lot of big dumbbells, but I haven't seen him try to clean one yet. Has Ricky cleaned any?
I'm pretty sure it was him I was talking to the other day. I tried to get him to clean it, and he sent me a video, and he's like, "Yeah, not close." But,
well, because he can lift the 95, right? Like,
yeah. He was trying to clean the inch dumbbell, and I think that's something that people don't realize either. Is just because you can. There's a reason that list of cleaning an inch dumbbell, particularly level.
Yeah.
There's a reason that list is like stupid short.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can stack 2 cans on an inch dumbbell. I can lift dumbbells 30 pounds heavier than the inch. I can transfer it level and catch it. I haven't even cleaned my 154 yet. It's just different to get that thing to turn, end over end. It's I think I could clean my 154 soon, but that jumped to 172 again. That's another 18 pounds. It's I can high pull it. It may have the illusion that it looks like I could clean it when I high pull it, but when you really get under it, it's different. You almost have to like try it. But no, I think Ricky would be a good guy that has a shot to do it with the body strength and the dumbbell strength. It's just probably going to take him a little bit of time to keep working it.
Well, you and I can work on that in our coaching sessions, so we'll get you there.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Here's one. Which women in grip are juicing?
Which women in grip are juicing?
Yeah. Obviously, Haley.
Let me think here.
Kidding, obviously.
Let me think now.
I wish. Where do I buy them? I'm kidding.
No, I was going to say something funny, but I'm kind of losing. I don't
You
want
don't
to
have
throw
to
anybody under
answer
the bus.
that. You don't have to answer
I,
that.
I,
It
I
was
don't
just
know.
one of the
I only
silly
know.
questions.
I don't really know who does what, like particularly on like the women's side of things. And I've joked with a few of the women's lifters about that, where I'm like, like outside of grip and competition, like I have no reason to be talking to women's lifters. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like chatting up the women like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like it's not really an appropriate thing for me to even be doing outside of the sport. So yeah, I have no clue what anybody's doing in their personal life when it comes to stuff like that. So
Man, you got to get nosier, dude. I'm telling you. That's where all the good
I
stuff
know.
is. It's fine.
I know.
Two grip people you want to see fight each other.
Oh, I think a fun one would probably be Ben Galper versus GHP10 Carl.
Oh, man. Yikes.
That would be fun. I'd watch that.
That would be that would really.
Do you know what I mean when I say GHP10 Carl?
Oh yeah. Yeah, real into it.
Yeah, flip that switch.
Whole other
Different
level.
Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I say that as a joke. Like I said, that wouldn't even be fair.
That wouldn't be a fight.
Yeah. But no, just for the sake of some comedy there, yeah, that would be a fight I would watch, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But
I like
anyway, do you guys have any matchups you would like to see? I'm going to flip it back on you real quick.
Oh man, that's a good one.
I don't know. I can't say it. I can't say it on air.
What?
I will not. No.
All right. I know there's got to be one. I don't know. I keep saying that I want to parent trap Jed and Ricardo on this podcast. I just want to see how that goes.
Sit them down where they don't know that each other's
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. Just be like, yeah, guess what? You're both here. Get married, and by that I mean talk to each other.
talk to each other.
So
yeah, we've talked about that before. Like it would never happen. I think one of them would just be like, "I'm out," and hit the leave button almost instantly. But and I don't even necessarily I don't know. It would be more fun for us.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
You guys
we wouldn't have to say anything.
For the hypothetical grip fight.
Yes.
Do you have any, even if it's not a serious one? Do you have just a funny one off the top of your guys' head?
I'm trying to think of who I think would be entertaining to watch, whether because it would just be ridiculous or an actually good matchup. And I don't know. I think, man, I don't think it's fair to put you in there against anybody because you actually fight.
With the amount of content that Hunter and A-Bear put out, I think that would be interesting because I feel like they're a similar build and they both like creating a lot of content. Like that'd be fun for me.
The creators match.
The creators match. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hunter and A-Bear.
The content creator match.
I like it.
I don't know. I think they're a similar build, and I think it would be a good match.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I do think I'd like to see Carl fight just about anybody. Yeah, I don't know. He's just like he's so nice most of the time. Yeah. I don't know. He's so nice most of the time, and then you get him in a competition setting or closing the GHP10 or whatever, and then you're just like, holy shit, that's a scary guy there. And so I'd like to see somebody just kind of pee their pants a little bit, crush
a skull. Yeah. I mean, we have some more questions here. I got some more questions. I don't know how many more NGLs you got, Will.
We got
a lot more bots.
Yeah.
There's one I'm interested in. And I mentioned the grip board before, and the few times I've gone on there, I didn't really find it a welcoming place for myself. And one of the questions was the grip board seems to be only welcoming to feet guys. What do you have to say about that?
FEAT.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
FEAT.
FEAT.
Yeah. That's a weird
I'm totally
feet
just
pics.
joking with that.
I'm on the wrong forum.
So,
Yeah, not a foot forum, guys. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know what it used to be like because I wasn't really I didn't really get on Gripboard until probably 2022 maybe. So I haven't really been on there that much, and generally I will post, like, I have a training log on there, then I will post I'll just link YouTube videos to some of the feats I do, and it'll get like 1 or 2 likes. Not many people are really looking at it. It's just another place where I can kind of store videos or document some stuff. I do think there are some good discussions on there, but I understand where people are coming from with some of that, because there are a lot of people. I don't even think it's so much people that do feats. That's pretty, like, I don't know, like, there's not really much drama with that, because people will just submit their feats and there's like a voting thing and it can get added to a list. Like, there's really nothing there. Where the issue for me on Gripboard comes in is there are a lot of people that, once again, they don't really contribute to the sport. They don't really help in any way for the sport, but they are on a message forum or message board type thing, and they have a lot of really strong opinions, and they're not listening to anything else that anybody else is saying, and they're just blasting their opinion out there. And it's like, well, are you even competing? Like, they'll write. It's like most message boards when we get on the internet, right? There's these comments that just go on, and it's like, I could take this more serious if you have hosted an event within the last year. I could take this. They basically want to, like, reinvent the wheel. It's like, they don't compete, they don't host, they don't really bring anything to the table, but they want to hop in and tell everybody else how it should be because they're superior and smarter.
Yeah.
And I generally try not to jump into it because I don't know, I don't do well with situations like that where, like, you provide people with, like, hey, this is why your idea doesn't make sense. And then, like, 7 other veteran lifters are like, hey, this is why your idea doesn't make sense. And then they still come back with like 7 paragraphs of, yeah, but they talk to you like you're a child. I'm like, okay, like, I'm done. Like, I can't. Like, I entertained it. So I think that if you kind of stick to the household names or people that you know, Eric will put King Kong results on there, updates for King Kong announcements. There's a lot of good stuff that goes on. I just think some of the opinion discussions where it's like, hey, should we run competitions by hand size? Or, hey, so-and-so's fake. Like, if you just stay away from that kind of stuff on there and don't argue.
It can be beneficial. Yeah.
But I do understand where someone might come from, where it also wasn't very easy for me to navigate when I first got into the sport either. You look around, you're like, is this the main forum? How do I find that? That's under this tab. So it's a little confusing, but if you just kind of mess around for a little bit or just ask somebody that kind of has been on it for a bit, it's not a bad thing. It's not all negative. And I would say that's not the majority. When you're dealing with some of those, they're more outliers. I've been on there probably 3 or 4 years, and other than maybe Derek Palmieri and 1 or 2 others, maybe like one little annoyance, a year at most. Other than that, it's usually just I'll like people's stuff, support their stuff. I check out. There's some people on Gripboard that aren't on Instagram, but I still really like talking to them on there, and I like seeing what they're up to. So it is good for some of that stuff. It just kind of depends on how you use it. But yeah. Didn't anticipate Derek Palmieri being brought up, did you?
I
don't
didn't
know about the medial thigh legend. It's a thing.
I have one final question, and it's kind of intense. So I'm gonna warn you about it. I'm just gonna say how it's written. Why is Mullins so cliquey? He acts like you need to be in GSI to be of any importance. And that was from an anonymous.
Um,
Zinger.
well, how I would put that is, once again, I wish I knew who that was, because I've probably competed in Arm Lifting USA more than you have. Just saying. So that's the first thing I would lead with. I've also probably covered more Arm Lifting USA events than the president himself and everybody else in the entire organization. So I would also say that. Yeah, I think that that's just probably somebody that hasn't done many GSI competitions, and I don't think there's a clicky thing going on. I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, I like it that it's somebody that has an opinion that's not just all, like pat me on the back, or, always going with the, like, I like that there's some sort of pushback there. But like I said, I would be surprised if they've done more competitions than me physically lifting. And I'd be very surprised if anyone they could name in that entire organization has given as much free promotion to Arm Lifting USA as I have. Because if anybody has covered more Arm Lifting USA events than me in the last 2.5 years, feel free to drop them in the comments, but you won't, because there isn't anybody. So,
No, absolutely. And I mean, you have done a lot for the sport as far as the coverage and rankings and just going over what everybody has done and the recaps and all of that. So I just wanted to say, like, we don't share that opinion. It was just a question.
Well,
and I don't take it that way. I'm just talking to that person. So yeah, it's not really a clicky thing, like I mentioned in the episode as well. GSI has more competitions to cover. I will cover the big Arm Lifting USA events, but
yeah,
there's not really that many happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of credit on the expo side, but I had to do like 5 GSI recaps in a row just to get caught up on the recaps. Some of them were like 2 in the same weekend. Arm Lifting USA don't even have a competition scheduled for an entire month. GSI might have 2 or 3 on the same weekend. So it's not that I'm showing favoritism. It's just I can't cover what they're not doing.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to break this down. And as far as like who I hang out with, or I live in Ohio, I don't really have anybody that trains with me. I'm by myself when I'm lifting almost all the time. Or if I'm training with somebody, it's not anyone that the grip world would know. It's friends of mine from where I'm at, But yeah, I don't think that there's really a clickiness about it. Maybe some of the stuff I mentioned earlier in the episode could give you some insight into that as well, where maybe if somebody has an entire staff of people, an entire organization that, see how to put this one, an entire organization of people that they sort of inherited off someone else's hard work, maybe they can cover their own stuff. Yeah. Because I don't have to cover any of it.
Yeah.
It's not my job. I'm doing it because I like it. So to complain about me being cliquey or act like somebody doesn't exist, I mean, if you're doing good in this sport on any organization, I feel like I've probably mentioned your name. I've probably given you credit. I've talked about you in a rankings episode, and there are people that have only done Arm Lifting USA competitions. I mean, Haley, you would be a person you've mentioned in this episode. You haven't done a GSI competition. Yeah. I've literally been at the Arnold. I was at the 23 Olympia when we first met each other, and I was at the Arnold this year, and I said, hey, your axle looked a lot better. Not sure what you've been pulling, recently, but I said, hey, like, good deal. And then we cover rankings. I'm not like hiding your name because you're an arm lifting person or you compete more on one side, So
I absolutely would. And I have been trying to get people interested around here in it. And it just unfortunately hasn't taken off in my particular area. And the previous gym I used to go to has it, but they're, Hannah and I specifically don't go there anymore because they weren't very women friendly. So like that situation kind of eliminated that opportunity for us, but we are both very much interested in it. It's just that the opportunity hasn't presented itself and we haven't created one because of the lack of interest. And we're trying, but it's just, It's unfortunate. It's not saying that like I would never, I really want to. And there's so many fun implements that I have in my garage right now that I play with on my own without ever having the ability to compete at. So hopefully soon. I want to make it a priority. this summer.
And one of the I don't actually know what the, I guess what's being considered clicky, I guess, with the question. I don't know if it's just the people that you tag or the people that you post with or these kinds of things. But like this, it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, where if you do look at a lot of the GSI competitions and a lot of the athletes that compete in GSI that maybe don't compete in arm lifting, like, again, somebody could be number 1, 2, or 3 in arm lifting and be really far down the list in GSI and not get a mention or not get a, there's just looking at it holistically. You're going to have different people at the top of GSI because there are more people and because those rankings end up playing out very differently. And so I think that could be a contributor where it may seem like you're listing these people, or because you're in the sport and you are high level yourself, you're around all the high level people who are high level in GSI and not in arm lifting all the time. That could be an optic, I guess, that would look that way, and it's not necessarily that way.
Yeah, if I'm like talking to Eric, like I talk to Eric pretty regularly for different things in grip. I mean, Eric's behind the table helping Ricardo run stuff in Armlifting USA. Yeah. That doesn't change my opinion of anything. Like, I can say, hey, this guy shouldn't put himself in this class because that's messed up, but I really like this guy that's keeping score and helping out over here, and he's however many time champion of everything. Eric's done amazing.
Yeah.
Or same thing with Jason Denji. I mean, doing his stuff. It's like there's like I said, you can't really put some of these people in a category. Like Devin Lee Brown's also done both competition formats. You know what I mean? He's done King Kongs before he probably even did an arm lifting competition. Then he got into some arm lifting stuff, hits up the expos. He was just at GSI National. So I talk to anyone and everyone behind the scenes all the time. The only time I won't talk to somebody, or maybe it's not clicky. It's just that like I'm in a position where grip is not the only thing I do. It might be hard for some people to understand because all I post is like 1 feat a week, or if I do a couple good things in a day, like 1 to 2 weeks, I might post a couple of videos of feats I'm doing. Sometimes I won't even post competition stuff that I do. And, but I don't put a lot of my personal life on social media because that's my personal life. That's for me. Like, I don't need to tell social media that I love my wife. I just say that in person, right? So I don't get into the whole social media stuff a lot other than just kind of documenting lifts for this sport. I don't even put my other activities, like I'll be going rifle hunting this weekend. I probably won't post nothing about it. It doesn't mean I'm not doing other stuff. So I have an entirely, 4 or 5 different other lives that I'm doing. I just so happen to also, cover this sport that I like doing and that I find interesting to help out and contribute. So there's no like cliquish stuff involved. Like, and just because you're friends with certain people, as long as I don't show them favoritism, then it doesn't matter. Like, I've never once there's some people in the sport that maybe I'm not the biggest fan of how they act, or maybe I don't like certain actions they do, but it doesn't mean I'm going to bring that to a show with me and critique their performance or not mention them. I'm going to give them, I'm going to be professional. I can separate my personal feelings from, a recap or something if that's the case, so there's not like a cliquish thing where I'm like, oh, so-and-so set a world record, but I don't really like him. So no, I'm going to
and
give him a full episode or something.
I have appreciated you being civil with me, even though I'm aware of your feelings towards me. So that's been appreciated on this episode in particular.
Yes.
But yeah.
And remaining friends with Will even when we didn't get along.
But no, like for real though, I think that's probably my favorite question so far, because I don't know. I guess I would be interested to see what their examples of me doing that would be. I wish I could just like have a convo with them now and be like, hey, why do you think that? Or what's your supporting evidence for it? And then just counteract.
Honestly, talking to you tonight has been really helpful for my own perspective of you, Zach, because like you are backing up a lot of things with facts and just logic, and um, like my respect for you has grown. I mean, I've always had respect for you, but like just that you are digging into it, that you are walking the walk, practicing what you preach, like you said, you're helping people whenever they have a question. You have only been doing this less than 5 years, so you don't feel qualified to coach, but you're always willing to. And Will even talks about it with me, like, oh, I was on the phone with Zach talking about, whatever the hell. And like, I thought it was going to be a quick call, and it turned out to be, 30 minutes. And it's like, you are willing to help people. And that's been my biggest takeaway tonight is that like you are a purist, you are a feed guy, but you want it to not remain pure, like you want it to grow, but you want it to be done in the right way. Like you want people to be honest, you want people to be held accountable, and that is commendable as far as I'm concerned. So I think everything you've said has cleared that up for hopefully this person that asked that question. So
Yeah, no, and that's something too. Like, yeah, I wouldn't make a claim, or I wouldn't say something that could be deemed controversial. If and I'm not doing that off of like emotional, like impulse or something like, well, this is how I feel because, like, if I'm bringing it up, it's because like some of this stuff, I've watched it for years, and at some point, it's like, and I would just like to also say this: I'm the one that's being interviewed right now, as you guys have let me on your show. I'm not the only person that knows this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just the first one that's really saying a lot of it. So this is stuff that has been talked about. This is stuff that has been common knowledge. This is stuff that gets joked about for years. It's just that me personally and where I'm at in life, I just don't feel that I need to play along with some of it. And there's a lot more, like a lot of other stuff going on in life to where it's like I'm not going to dedicate 2 to 3 months of my life to get ready for the Arnold and try to get my axle to this because, like, whatever. Like, I'm going to go try to lift another dumbbell or something, or to do my own stuff, or pour energy somewhere else. So, it's just, like I said, I'm not really trying to bring up anything negative. I tried to keep it matter of fact and more factual. That way people understand that I'm not coming from this, like, he's a GSI guy and he's biased because he heard this. It's like, no, I traveled to those competitions. I saw it. Like I cut weight in a sauna to make 198 pounds at the Arnold, based my entire weight cut around the time I was emailed directly by the person that runs the show to show up to a locked door, and then had to sit outside for 3 hours. Then when the staff shows up and opens the door, they act like I'm a jackass for even being there. And I got to sit outside for like another hour. And they're yelling, why is he emailing people and saying this? And like, what are you like? Yeah. What am I supposed to do? It's like, I didn't hear that from somebody else. I'm sitting there like, damn, I cut weight in a fashion that means I want to weigh in and rehydrate. Like, I cut a decent amount of weight for that competition. So there's just little stuff like that. And like I said, we don't have enough time for me to go into everything and why I'm saying what I'm saying. We could do 5 episodes, but that's where this stuff is coming from. It's not coming from a place that's lacking evidence or logic. It's stuff that I've traveled, I've put the miles in, I've lived it, I've done it, and I've formed my opinion and kind of the code I'm going to live by or how I'm going to do things. And I'm not. Can I get in one more quick subject on this?
Yeah.
I apologize. But it's the same thing. Like for the Grip Show, right? I had Chocolates reach out to me, the people that sponsored the Arnold. They reached out to me, and I was nice about it, but I kind of just said, at the time, this was before any of the Arnold or any of that stuff. So I saw the product, I checked it out, I looked at their stuff, and I just said, well, other than for somebody like maybe going to a public gym to get some grip work in where they maybe don't allow chalk, or someone that wants to keep their home gym clean, I said, this isn't really allowed in our sport. I'm not so sure that I see a benefit for the audience. I didn't just say, oh God, I could make money because Chocolates is hitting me up. They're asking me, what would it take to get on your show?
Yeah.
And I just said, well, it's not really about what it would take to get you on my show. It's more about like, what are you bringing to the audience? Because I know what you're trying to get on my show for. You get to promote your product, and you're promoting it to grip people who are then going to probably buy it. So you're going to sell your product. That's fine. But I need to know what you're bringing for us, the community. Like, what do you bring to the table? And if it's just an alternative to keep your house clean, or 2% of the people wouldn't even think about it, like, well, then I turn around like a week or two later and it's, oh, it's going to be the sponsor for the Arnold. We're going to have this dispenser here. And like, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, well, you know, whatever. So I would just say that that's another thing that I'm not a fan of, is when you don't maintain the standards, everything gets messed up. And where I'm going with that is, a lot of these promoters and a lot of people in our sport, like we've mentioned, we do both organizations. Yeah. I've had an arm, like I said, I've probably, like I said, that person that's talking about Armlifting USA, like, I've competed for them. I know what that's like. I've done the GSI stuff. Who gets hurt by these decisions isn't me. It's not, you know, it's not necessarily me or anything else. So when you have promoters that are trying to dual sanction a competition because they want the best for their athletes to get on both leaderboards or set multiple records, or just basically magnify their competition experience or their reach as an athlete. When somebody selfishly says, well, I don't care about anyone else in this sport, I want this sponsor. Dude, you just screwed dual sanction. How can a promoter now dual sanction it if one promotion, GSI, is chalk only, and now you have chalkless in there? You didn't even think about what that does for promoters as a dual sanction promoter. You just thought about you first. So that comes up in the sense of Will Giuliani held the competition in California back in January, the World's Strongest Grip. It's dual sanctioned. Now, luckily, holding a rock for time is not a tracked event, but there's some people that benefited from using chalkless on that surface or that handle. But that's where it starts to get tricky, because it's like, one organization won't allow it, the other one will. What is that promoter going to do? Well, you guys got to lift on a separate bar. Now we need 2 platforms. Well, you can't lift. It's like, it screws it up. So that was the first thing that, when that announcement came out, the first thing that popped in my head was, man, how's that going to be handled for dual sanction events? What are promoters going to do?
Yeah, then you might as well just open up the floodgates for liquid chalk and other help. Like, so, that irritated me as well.
It was just a weird decision, because I don't think that, like I said, I don't know what the payoff was, or what the benefit that it brought to the sport was, whether it be chalkless or Gobi grip or all these other things. I mean, some people think that that's like, oh, this is better for the sport, because, I mean, it's companies trying to sell stuff, and then you're once again kind of losing the soul of the sport, because you're just taking any sponsor that looks your direction. It's okay to say no to people sometimes, like if it's for the people, you know. So like for the Grip Show, it is like a show that I do, but I view that as like our show. I view that as like, I don't make it about me, my personal lifts, my personal stuff. I make it about the guests, the competitors, the recaps, all that. Documenting historical stuff, you know, things that people have done. It's somewhere where people can go and look up their lifts, look up their stuff, or, you know, hear about a competition they were at, show someone else. And somebody wants to sell stuff. I get that, but it's not really. You got to do something for the audience. You know, you got to bring something to the table for the people, because I'm not doing this so you can give me like $100 and come on and talk for 30 minutes or something. I don't know that. No one offered that. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what we're gonna, you know, what the trade off is. So that's an interesting one. And then I think that's mostly what I was going to say on that little subject there. But I just kind of thought about that with the chocolates. But there's just not a lot of consideration for other people in the sport. And I'm always kind of looking at the big picture as well. So if I was a, I don't know, one-sided individual, I wouldn't even think about dual sanction. You know, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard of a promoter that has been running an event and they have implements or bars that are used by both organizations, and I tell them to dual sanction, and it goes both ways. I can tell them to dual sanction for Armlifting USA. I can tell them, hey, you know, you guys are doing this event. GSI tracks that too. You should dual sanction. Like, I do it equally both ways on that front. Like, I'm never just like, oh, well, it's Armlifting USA, don't sanction.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where some of that stuff really comes from. And anybody that kind of knows me behind the scenes probably, or like even like Stanowitz or certain people that have ran competitions and they ask me for advice. Yeah, hey, you should dual sanction that, or hey, I wouldn't make sense if you used that, but maybe you could use this. So I'm always in discussions like that with people and trying to help. But yeah, I think sometimes we forget that some of these things in an individual organization have a bigger impact on the whole scene too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people are the same. They're not one side or the other. We're doing both. So yeah. Sorry, like I said, that's mostly it on my end. I'll chill out on that one. But yeah.
Well, I mean, that being said, I would like to thank this episode's sponsor, Chocolates. So use a gift 15 on their website and get 3% off. No, that's not a real code. You can try to use it. Let me know if it works.
It doesn't go to us.
It doesn't go to us. Yeah.
Yeah. I was joking around with Luke Raymond after the Arnold because he goes by the Chalk Whisperer sometimes for some of the stuff he can cook up. And I was at dinner with Eric, Yvonne, and Luke, and the Chocolates crew was over at the bar. And I said, Luke, you got to go fight that dude. Like, the Chalk Whisperer, the chocolate guy. Like,
yeah, you got to.
So that was just a little bit of a funny joke. But yeah, we were just eating dinner at the Arnold, and
That's
I was
good.
like telling Luke, like, man, that's your nemesis now, man. Like that dude's hating on Chalk, and you're the Chalk Whisperer. You got to defend that stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just joking around, clearly. But,
also, check out Nemesis grips. Use grip 15 and get nothing. Again, sorry, you said Nemesis, and that made me trigger that. And it's also getting late, and I'm sleepy.
They actually sent me. They sent me a hand, the Grip Show hand. I don't know if you guys-
Yeah.
I posted about
Oh,
it. Yeah,
cool.
I like, with they do a lot of implements, and like obviously not all of them are going to be used or tested and stuff, but like the stuff that Andrew,
That's awesome.
that's so cool. Like
this is just a one-off, so it's not
it's
like
a one of
anything we're
one.
going to keep like masturbating. But yeah, I was like totally surprised because Andrew didn't tell me they were going to do this at all. I bought a couple of items that GSI started tracking by Nemesis. They got some things in the database now because they've had so many people contesting it up in Canada.
Yeah.
They were kind of working with Eric, and like they've reached a certain number, showing that like, okay, this is something that's going to be around. It's something that has interest. And it got put in the database. So I purchased some of those items to train with or maybe put in future competitions. And they sent me this Grip Show orangutan hand type
That's
deal.
so cool.
I love what they do.
No discount code for them, but I do appreciate that. And that was really cool.
Yeah. I love Nemesis. I love what he does. And like, I think the Nemesis of the Year thing is such a cool, thing that he puts on for all those implements that he makes and all that stuff. Like it's just
out of the kindness of his own heart. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot to send everybody trophies all over the place. It's very sweet.
Yeah. So Nemesis scripts, if you are not aware of them yet, go on there and get some stuff.
Find them.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we have some of the other anonymous questions, but they're not like in depth or deep, and I think that's a good note to kind of go out on. But like, again, to reiterate your point, the purpose of bringing this stuff up is not for us to just gripe and complain and just be like negative about all this stuff. Like the purpose of everything that we do on this show and the purpose of what you do on yours, Zach, is like, we're trying to make the sport better. We're trying to make it fun. We're trying to keep it fun. We're trying to be positive driving forces for something that we enjoy doing. And a lot of the conversations that we've had are being had behind the scenes, and it's stuff that, if nothing changes if nothing changes, right? And so in the interest of keeping things moving forward and accountability and just starting to get people who may be just getting into this stuff up to speed on some things. I think that's important in the interest of growth, and they have the interest in the interest of being a legitimate sport and being a legitimate interest that people can get into and feel confident in and feel comfortable with. So
Yeah, we're not saying anything new. We're not saying anything that people aren't discussing behind the scenes. We're just saying it publicly. So keep that in mind. And obviously, I appreciate your honesty, Zach, and everything that you've brought up is kind of just usually kind of what we talk about in our daily chats. So it's.
Well, I didn't want to I know that you guys were kind of posting and saying you wanted a controversial guest.
That's what the people want.
Yeah, well, that's what you wanted. But so I told Will, I was like, man, I'm not trying to be controversial. I just would like to bring some stuff up. If you guys need me, let me know. But by no means, I'm not one of these people that's like trying to stir the pot or, start something, or there's none of that. It's not trying to be controversial just for the sake of being, controversial and working people up. It's just that I don't view anything I've said as being controversial. I think the acts that I brought up are controversial.
Sure.
I don't think me addressing it is controversial. I think the stuff that I brought up is the controversy. It's not the fact that I'm talking about it. It's the action. So,
it's the guts to talk about it. That's the controversy.
Yeah. You're not Michael Jackson. You don't want to be starting something. So it's just, some things already started, and we're just bringing it to light. So, yeah, definitely appreciate you being willing to come on and doing the show with us, talking it all out and getting it all out there, and hopefully it resonates with people, or at least opens eyes and ears a little to some of the stuff that they might want to consider. They don't have to consider it. Do what you want, people. I don't care.
They might. And I don't know if it was nice for you to be on the other end of things for a change, but we certainly enjoyed it. So thank you.
No, thank you guys. I bug Will sometimes. I'm like, when do you guys put out another episode? I have nothing to watch. I'm not watching myself.
It's like we got Zach and Josh. I can't do it. Zach and Josh are the two who are like, what are we doing here, guys? Come on, let's get it together, please. So So here we go.
So I thank you guys for having me on, and I really, even from the time you guys started the show, I thought it was a good thing, and I thought that it had a lot of potential that could cover some areas and fill some voids that maybe I or Pancho wasn't already kind of doing. So I hope you guys keep doing the show, and like I said, I thank you guys for even just giving me the time and the platform to do it. I could very easily make my own show and say the same stuff, but I kind of just didn't think that was, I don't know, I just didn't think that would be really as effective, and I felt like this could be a better discussion with, other people and kind of reach, different people maybe, and like I said, I couldn't do that stuff without you guys having me on, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. And one last little shout out, Pancho, if you're listening, I saw that you released a new episode here this past week. Glad to see you back, and go listen to Grip Sport Latino.
2 episodes.
2 episodes. That's right. Yeah, 2 episodes. So he's back on the grip train, at least for now, after his successful trip to Scotland. So go have a listen to that as well. If you are looking for grip competitions, Arm Lifting USA has them listed on their site, and GSI has a newsletter that goes out weekly that will list all of the upcoming events as well. So if you are looking for an event in your area, you can do that. I think there might be some sites out there as well that I don't know. I don't know if Clint put together a list of like venues or if he put together a list of just gyms and lifters. But either way,
I'm not for
get the email Jed and get the GSI newsletter, and you can get all the upcoming events. And then go on the Arm Lifting USA website and find all the upcoming stuff there. So until the next time, Grabber Gang, keep it real. And if you're just tuning in, we are wrapping up. But it was good to see you all
Pleasure.
again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. Sorry for our hiatus. We lost that love and feeling a little bit, but
What are you gonna do?
We're back.
We're back, baby.
We're back-ish.
All right, cool. Well, adios, everybody.
Yep. See you guys.